Chapter 1612. Gaoran, can you help me call everyone over? I have something to tell you. What is it? I'll see you at Seductive Fox in half an hour. Then Rick hung up the phone. Are you going to tell them? Cece also thought that the truth was too cruel for everyone. Yeah. Rick nodded. He forced himself to stand up. After all, he was the young master of a mafia family. Although Rick was sad, he still pulled himself together. He wanted to tell everyone about this. Otherwise, they would be worried if they couldn't contact Qin Chu. Half an hour later, Wei Liao, Jiang Shaowei, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Chen Jie, and Aiyang, Yi, Huamin's family and friends were all present. Rick pushed open the door to the private room and walked in wearing a black cashmere coat. He looked extremely haggard. As soon as Jiang Shaowei saw Rick, she knew that something bad was going to happen. Rick, do you have something to announce? Gao Ran asked. Rick nodded slightly, then he looked around at everyone and said, I received news that Huamin was released on bail. We already knew that. Don't forget that I'm in the city bureau. Although I'm only the captain of a small criminal police team, I'm pretty well informed. Last night, the military intervened and Huamin was transferred to Jing City by Professor Luo. I knew right away that it was old Master Su's order. I have to commend Lord Su for this. Hey, where's Su Yu? Then, Gao Ran realized that Su Yu wasn't here. He was grounded by Lord Su. I think he was punished, Wei Liao said. I really need to thank Su Yu for this. Thank goodness he's here. When he comes out, I'm going to treat him to a big meal to thank him for saving Mion. Zhu Lingling seemed to be in a good mood. Everyone was still immersed in the news that Huamin was safe. I'm guessing that Huamin will come back safe and sound in less than a week. If he's released on parole, he'll probably have to go abroad. Rick already sent Qin Chu to the States. When Huamin comes back, we'll have dinner with her and she'll have to go to the States with us. It'll be hard for us to see the couple again, right? Gao Ran looked at everyone with a smile and then looked at Rick. Is Qin Chu in America now? We can't get in touch with him, Jiang Shaowei asked nervously. Rick's face darkened. He swept his gaze across everyone's faces and said quietly, Qin Chu, he's dead. What? Are you kidding me? Rick, don't try to scare us, it's not funny. Everyone had the same reaction. They all looked at Rick with strange expressions. I'm not kidding, I never joke. I sent Qin Chu to international waters last night and saw him get on the private plane that my brother arranged for him. He was supposed to arrive in Los Angeles safely today, but last night, when the plane was flying over the Pacific Ocean, there was an accident. I'm not sure if it was an external attack or if someone planted a bomb on the plane. Either way, the plane exploded and crashed. The 4 bodyguards, 1 airport attendant, and 2 flight attendants that my brother arranged for were all killed. Qin Chu's whereabouts are unknown, but under those circumstances, he's probably dead. That's why I called you guys here today to tell you that Qin Chu is dead. After Rick finished his speech, the entire room fell silent. Nonsense, I don't believe that my brother-in-law is dead. Zhixin was the first to jump up and point at Rick. Chapter 1613. Rick glanced at him calmly. I don't want to either, but it's the truth. How is that possible? How? Oh my God. Zhu Lingling burst into tears as soon as she said this. She couldn't stop her tears from bursting out. Jiang Shaowei also sat there blankly with a pale face. Her eyes gradually became moist. Wei Liao was sad as well, but he still had to take care of the pregnant Jiang Shaowei. What if Sister Mion finds out? What should we do? And Aiyang sat there in a daze, his hands tightly clenched. Chen Jie held onto Aiyang's arm and silently cried as well. Fuck! It must be Huasiqian. I'm going to fight him to the death. Gao Ran finally understood why Su Yu would beat up Huasiqian without a care in the world in front of so many people. That scumbag really had no bottom line. Not only did he scheme against Huamin, but he also wanted to kill Qin Chu. So, Gao Ran was really pissed off this time. He pulled out his gun and walked out. He cried as he walked. Such a grown man, such a pure man, would actually cry in public one day. Rick blocked his way. What you're doing won't help. That's my first reaction when I found out. But you have to know that we won't be able to kill Huasiqian if we act rashly. Plus, people will talk about it. We have to get revenge. Chin Chu is my brother too. If you're willing, I think we can work together and take him down. What do you think? After hearing Rick's words, Gao Ran calmed down a lot. The problem now is, what should we tell Mian when she comes back? Jiang Xiaowei asked. She was a very calm and logical person, and her IQ was not much lower than Huamin's. She was the smartest and calmest person here. After Jiang Xiaowei raised her question, everyone fell silent once again. I don't want to say it. If you want to say it, you can say it. I really can't say it. Zhu Lingling burst into tears. Me neither. Jiang Xiaowei turned her head away. She couldn't be such a cruel person. Jixin's face was full of anger. All he wanted was revenge. His heart ached even more at the thought of his sister having to face the truth of his brother-in-law's death. Anai Yang raised his head and interrupted. I was thinking, didn't you say that President Qin's whereabouts were unknown? At this time, no news was good news. Perhaps the fact that they couldn't find the body meant that he was still alive? Am I right? I think we shouldn't be too pessimistic. In that situation, the survival rate is very low. Kid, life isn't like watching movies or TV shows. There's no such thing as luck, understand? Wei Liao looked at Anai Yang and cruelly exposed the truth. Then, everyone fell silent. Rick suppressed his grief and said, As for Huamin, I will personally apologize to her. This is all my fault. If I didn't insist on forcing Chin Chu onto the plane, he wouldn't have gotten into this accident. Gao Ran patted Rick's shoulder and said, Don't think that way. You're Chin Chu's best friend, and I'm sure you're doing this for his own good. Now that something has happened, I'm sure you're feeling terrible. We can't put all the blame on you. That's not fair to you. Ever since Chin Chu and Huamian's accident, we've been trying to figure out a way to save them. We can't afford to have internal strife right now. So, Rick, don't blame yourself and don't feel too guilty. Although Chin Chu's chances of survival are slim, I still believe that he's still alive. Gao Ran's words made everyone cry again. Zhu Lingling cried even harder. Chapter 16-14. They're still searching, but it's in the Pacific Ocean. It's too difficult. If they don't find anything in 3 days, they'll give up. By then, Chin Chu's death might be confirmed. Huamin might come back anytime soon. I'll tell her about this. Also, please stay alert. Hua Xiqian is the devil. He won't stop just because Chin Chu is dead. Don't forget his target is Huamin. Jiang Xiaowei looked up. I agree with Rick. We can't relax. Hua Xiqian will definitely do something to Huamian. We need to think about our next step. What's going to happen to GK? Gao Ran asked. As far as I know, Chin Chu's uncle took over the company and it's now under the management of the U.S. headquarters. Does the Qin family know about Chin Chu's death? Gao Ran asked again. They don't know yet. I'll ask my brother to contact Chin Chu's family in the U.S. After Rick said this, everyone fell silent again. When they walked out of Seductive Fox, everyone looked sad. Yixin didn't cry much, but his expression didn't look right. Yixin, don't go back to Sky Blessing Court. It's not safe there. Why don't you stay at my place? Jiang Xiaowei offered. It's okay, sister slightly. I'm just an insignificant person. That scumbag Hua Xiqian won't do anything to me. Jixin, come to my place. I have space there too. Zhu Lingling held onto Jixin's arm. It's really okay, Sister Lingling. I'm not a kid anymore. I'll stay at home and wait for my sister to come back safely. Then Jixin lowered his head and said in a hoarse voice, My mom doesn't know that something happened to my sister, and she doesn't know that my brother-in-law. Okay, let's all go home. We'll keep in touch if anything happens. Remember to be careful. I'll keep an eye on Huamin's movements in Jing City. All right, Wei Liao, if you have time, go ask Lord Su about the military. Okay, I'll call him later. Wei Liao nodded. After they got into the Mercedes-Benz RV, Jiang Xiaowei felt a bit uneasy. What's wrong? Honey, get someone to keep an eye on Jixin. If he does anything strange, knock him out immediately and send him to our place. What? Do you suspect him? Yeah, I think that kid will do something stupid. Now that Mian isn't here and Chin Chu's whereabouts are unknown, I can't let anything happen to Jixin. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain myself to Mian. Okay, I'll get someone to keep an eye on him. After Wei Liao and Jiang Shaowei got home, they were about to have dinner. Wei Liao received a phone call, then he looked at Jiang Shaowei with admiration. Honey, you guessed it right. What? Did Jixin do it? Yeah, that dumb kid. He took a fruit knife, changed his clothes, and left the house. He's going to the Huasiqian mansion to get revenge. That dumb kid. Do you think Huasiqian is that easy to deal with? Yeah. Good thing you reminded me, or else I'd be in trouble. If Huasiqian caught him, he'd be charged with trespassing and assault with a knife. If he was convicted, he'd be in jail for at least 7 years. Wei Liao was very grateful for his wife's quick wits. Where is he now? My people knocked him out, tied him up, and sent him to our place. Okay, put him under house arrest for now. We'll talk about it when Mian comes back, Jiang Shaowei instructed. Honey, what happened to Lord Su? Did something happen to him because he tried to save Mian? Ever since Mian escaped danger, Su hadn't done anything. Jiang Shaowei felt like something was wrong. Lord Su, Wei Liao wanted to say something but stopped. Obviously, he didn't want to say it. What happened to Lord Su? Jiang Shaowei was so anxious that she pinched Wei Liao's arm. So many things had happened recently, and she couldn't bear to hear bad news from her friends. Chapter 1615. Lord Su is really under house arrest. Just because he wanted to save Mian? Jiang Shaowei froze. Do you think it's that simple? If it was, the Su family would have done something when Qin Chu went to jail. This is especially difficult because the victim is Song Yisher. Mayor Song is in charge of a city. Although his rank isn't as high as Lord Su's, he's still a mayor. The mayor's daughter's tragic death is a slap to the government's face. The leaders of the province have already said that they're going to punish Lord Su severely. Now that Lord Su is involved, do you think it's okay? Do you think government matters are that simple? After Wei Liao finished speaking, Shaowei fell silent. She was smart, so she knew the gravity of the situation. Therefore, Su Yu was truly a god for being able to convince Lord Su to save Mian. Actually, I'm curious as well. How did Su Yu convince his grandfather? Jiang Shaowei slowly asked. Wei Liao only smiled bitterly when he heard this. What's with that expression? Jiang Shaowei looked at her husband. If I tell you, you'll be shocked. Let me tell you, Su Yu pointed a gun at Lord Su's head and threatened him. He's awesome, he only gave Lord Su 3 seconds, or else he would have shot him. The gun in Lord Su's hand was personally given to him by Lord Su when he joined the military. It's a Type 92 military pistol with a 9mm caliber and is extremely powerful. You can say that it's the king of our country's military pistols. It's extremely lethal, it can penetrate 3mm of steel and 50mm of pine wood within 50 meters. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that this pistol has terrifying lethality. Once a bullet enters a person's body, it will create a large cavity and cause the greatest amount of damage. With a pistol like this, no matter which part of the body it hits, it will be fatal. Our powerful Lord Su pointed at his own head in front of his grandfather. Do you think Lord Su would be scared? After Wei Liao finished speaking, Jiang Shaowei felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't believe that Su Yu was this crazy. He pointed such a terrifying pistol at his own head. If it accidentally went off, then she could only regret it in her next life. A person's life was the most precious thing in the world because everyone only had one life. Su Yu was born into such a wealthy family and didn't have to worry about food and clothing. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't even be able to live to 100 years old. However, Su Yu was willing to gamble his own life in order to save Huamin. Jiang Shaowei was a fan of Qin Chu and Huamin. She had always envied Qin Chu's friendship with Huamin. From spring and autumn to winter and summer, from youth to white hair, that kind of relationship between childhood sweethearts, that kind of relationship where Qin Chu was willing to face kidnappers single-handedly for Huamin. He was shot in the heart. She thought that in this world, no one would ever treat Huamin like that again. But today, seeing that Jiang Shaowei was silent, Wei Liao smiled helplessly. Sometimes I think, if Yu was born, why would Liang be born? If Qin Chu was born, why would Su Yu be born? Chinchu's existence was the biggest torture for Suyu. Because he appeared too late, he missed out on everything. Even if he died for Huamin, even if he died that day, he still didn't get a hug from Huamin. Was this kind of relationship really worth it? But I know that to Suyu it was worth it. After Huamin got into trouble, he only said one thing to me, and that was, I won't let Huamin die. Chapter 16:16. It's been hard on you, Lord Su. Jiang Shaowei didn't feel good when she heard this. Lord Su succeeded in threatening Lord Su, but he's not having a good time either. Lord Su is furious. He's teaching him a lesson at home. Su Mansion, it was Su Yu's first day of house arrest. Lord Su made him kneel in the ancestral hall of the Su family without moving. He wasn't allowed to eat or drink. He had to face the wall and reflect on his mistakes. Most of the Su family's ancestors were from the military. Su Yu's great-grandfather was said to be an important founding father when the country was founded. Later, he sacrificed himself in the war for the country and was given the highest honor by the country. In this generation, Lord Su was also the head of the military and was a famous marshal in Jingdu. Mr. Su chose to do business because he didn't like the old-fashioned style of the military. In Su Yu's generation, only Su Yu's third uncle chose to join the military. He was the commander of a company in the Air Force and was also a well-known figure. When it came to Su Yu's generation, he did want to be a soldier when he was young. Later, no one knew why he suddenly demobilized. Later on, he often ate, drank, and played. No one in the Su family mentioned this, and no outsiders knew about it. Su Yu knelt in front of the ancestral hall with his head lowered. Son, drink some water. Mrs. Su couldn't bear to see her son suffer, so she brought a cup of warm water. Don't give it to him. Make him kneel. Lord Su was exasperated. Su Yu didn't dare to take the water from his mother's hand. Brat, you're capable now. You actually used the pistol I gave you to threaten me. If you're so capable, don't point it at your own head. Point it at mine. Lord Su pointed at Su Yu and roared. How would I dare? Isn't that disgraceful? If I don't respect Grandpa, I'll be struck by lightning, Su Yu quibbled. You know that? Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning when you threaten Grandpa? Didn't I do it for a reason? What's the reason? Just because of women? Look at yourself. How could you play with your head for a woman? After saying that, Master Lord Su hit Su Yu's back with his stick. It hurts. Grandpa, be gentler. I'm going to beat you to death, you little bastard. Not only did Lord Su not show any mercy, he even hit him harder. Dad, be gentle. You doesn't exercise anymore. He's not as strong as before. Su Yu's mother pleaded for her son. Grandpa, can you call me later? I have a question. Su Yu raised his hands and begged his grandfather as if he was surrendering. Ask away. Grandpa was fuming with rage as he glared at his grandson. Where's Huamin now? When will he be back? As soon as he asked that question, another blow came down on him. This time, Su Yu felt a burning pain all over his body. It seemed that Grandpa was really going to teach him a lesson this time. VIP room of a military hospital in Kyoto. Professor Luo? Huamin was resting in his room. When he saw Professor Luo walk in, he immediately stood up. Sit down. Professor Luo waved his hand and asked Huamin to sit down. Huamin, have you felt any discomfort recently? A little. Where? My stomach sometimes churns. I'm always nauseous. Maybe I've been in a bad mood recently and haven't eaten much. My stomach is hungry. It's probably gastritis. That's why it's protesting. Huamin smiled. You think it's gastritis? Professor Luo smiled. Yeah. Huamin nodded. I can't believe you're a genius doctor. How could you not know that you're pregnant? Professor Luo smiled lovingly. Professor Luo, what did you say? Huamin stood up excitedly again. Huamin, you're pregnant? The fetus is 55 days old, and it's twins. Twins? Twins? Oh my God. Huamin covered his face with his hands and looked at Professor Luo in disbelief. Chapter 16:17. You can't believe it, can you? Professor Luo smiled. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Huamin couldn't calm herself down. She hadn't gotten pregnant for so long, and now she was pregnant with twins? How ridiculous was that? The babies are still small, they haven't fully formed yet. Luckily, we can hear their heartbeats by listening to their heartbeats. Although this is a good thing for you, it's also tough. You're a doctor, and you've worked in the OB/GYN department before. You should know that twins don't reach full term. They might be born prematurely at 7 or 8 months. It's tough, so you have to be mentally prepared. I know, I'll be careful. Huamin's eyes were still slightly teary. If Qin-Chu knew about this, he would be ecstatic, right? Her parents-in-law were also here. The babies they had been waiting for were finally here. It was rare to see an overly excited expression on Huamin's face. It was because her personality was simply too cold. However, Professor Luo wasn't looking at a genius doctor with a high IQ. She was just a little girl crying tears of joy. Huamin was so nervous and excited that her hands were clasped together. Her fingers were clasped together as if she was praying for something. But I'm curious. You've been pregnant for so long. They should have been able to find out when you were in prison. Why didn't they find out? If they didn't give you a checkup, they would have missed it. Professor Luo frowned slightly. Huamin's heart sank at this thought. She slowly opened her mouth and said, I think someone didn't want to hear about my pregnancy, so they chose to keep it a secret. Huamin's first reaction was that Mayor Song must have done something to the prison. Otherwise, with how long she had been pregnant, they would have found out a long time ago. A urine test would have been very obvious. A blood test would have been even more obvious. Her progesterone level would have been much lower than usual. Then, since you're pregnant, you should rest well. I've already submitted the evidence of your pregnancy tonight and applied for medical parole for you. This way, we can delay for a long time, and then we'll have more time to think of a solution. Thank you, Professor. Hey, don't thank me. I was just asked to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the ability to drag you out of prison. If the higher-ups approve it tomorrow, you can leave here. The commander will arrange for someone to come to Jingdu to pick you up. That's great. Huamin couldn't suppress his excitement at the thought of going home and reuniting with Qin-Chu. Then rest early today. Tell me what you want to eat? Pregnant women can't be careless. Okay. Huamin did not hesitate and nodded slightly. It was just that she couldn't use her phone now, so communication was inconvenient. Otherwise, she really wanted to call Qin-Chu immediately and share the good news with him. Then, she remembered that Qin-Chu might already be in America, because before she came in, not only did she tell Jiang Shaowei some things, but she also talked to Rick alone. Huamin started to let his imagination run wild again. Because she knew that she was pregnant, she ate a lot for dinner and had a rare appetite. That night, inside the Su family mansion, when Lord Su picked up the phone, his face was solemn. Is the news accurate? He asked. Okay, I got it. Then, Lord Su hung up the phone. Then he walked into the ancestral hall. Su Yu was still kneeling there. Straighten your back? Lord Su scolded Su Yu, who was reflecting in front of the ancestral hall. Chapter 16-18. Grandpa, I'm a little hungry. Grandpa, I'm thirsty. Grandpa, don't be so cruel. Am I not your grandson? Su Yu looked at his grandpa and wanted to cry but had no tears. If you weren't my grandson, I would have thrown you into the sea to feed the sharks. You should be glad that you're the only one in this family. Otherwise, do you think I would have let you go? The old man seemed to be still angry. Grandpa. Su Yu turned on his coquettish mode. He knew that his grandpa loved him the most. As long as he acted coquettishly, his grandpa's heart would definitely soften. At this moment, before Su Yu could continue, Master Lord Su said slightly, the girl you asked me to save is pregnant. What? Su Yu was extremely shocked. I just received news from Jing City. They've applied for medical parole. Because she's pregnant, it's easier to handle. When the order is approved tomorrow, we can pick her up. She's pregnant. Su Yu's expression was indescribable whether he was happy or sad. In short, it was very complicated. Master Lord Su saw everything and scolded with his hands behind his back. You should give up now. Su Yu licked his lips and didn't answer. He felt a little upset. However, at the same time, he was happy for Huamin. He knew that Huamin had always wanted a baby. Moreover, at this time, Huamin was pregnant, so it was easier for her to come out. It was simply the right time. Why aren't you talking? Are you upset? Master Lord Su asked. Why would I be upset? It's a good thing that she's pregnant. Su Yu smiled bitterly. Okay, let's see how long you can last. There'll be news tomorrow morning. I'll send someone to pick her up. But because her identity is still sensitive, she can't go home immediately. It'll cause bad public opinion. I plan to let her rest in our local military hospital. Okay, Grandpa, I'll pick her up tomorrow. You're going? Master Lord Su was stunned. Well, I'll go. If someone else goes, I'll be worried. Su Yu was very careful now. He was afraid that something would happen to Huamin. The Rick brothers had planned for so long and meticulously, but something still happened to Qin Chu. This proved that Huasiqian's ability to take advantage of every opening was too strong. Therefore, Su Yu didn't really trust his subordinates to do the job. Initially, he thought that his grandfather wouldn't agree and that he would have to spend a lot of effort to convince him. But surprisingly, Lord Su actually agreed. He thought for a while and said, "That's good too. Things will be easier if you go. Everyone knows that you're my grandson, so they'll still give you some face." Grandpa, how is that a thin face? It's clearly a very, very big face, okay? Stop talking nonsense. Continue to kneel. You can't leave until midnight. Hey, Grandpa, I have to catch a flight to Jing City tomorrow. No matter how much Su Yu protested, Lord Su refused to compromise. The reason was because Su Yu had gone too far this time. The old man was scared half to death. He had seen all kinds of storms. After working in the army for so many years, he was actually scared by his grandson. That pistol had too strong a penetrating power. Lord Su didn't dare to believe it. What if he missed and really shot Su Yu in the head? He didn't dare to take that risk, nor could he bear that kind of tragedy. Therefore, he compromised and let his grandson lead him by the nose. Su Yu stayed in the ancestral hall, but his heart was much more at ease. When he heard that he would be able to see Huamin tomorrow, his heart felt warm. However, when he thought about Huamin's pregnancy, he felt sad. Although he knew that this day would come, he didn't expect it to come so soon. If Qin Chu knew that Huamin was pregnant, he would probably be overjoyed. After all, he was going to be a father. Late at night, Mrs. Su came to look for her son with her phone. Your phone isn't turned on? My grandfather confiscated it. Su Yu looked bitter. Wei Liao called me. It seems like he has something urgent to talk to you about. Then, Mrs. Su handed the phone to her son. Chapter 1619. Hello. Lord Su, go ahead, are you okay? Wei Liao asked. I'm fine now. How are things with Huamin? When will she be back? About tomorrow. My grandpa just told me today. If everything goes well, I'll go pick up Huamin tomorrow. That's great, but we have some bad news. What bad news? Su Yu was still a little confused. Did something happen at the prison? Or did the media start to expose that they were operating under the table and harboring murderers? Could it be that Mayor Song and Huasiqian started to do something? Just as his thoughts were running wild, Wei Liao said, something happened to Qin Chu. What's wrong? Su Yu tried to stay calm. The plane that Rick arranged for him to go to the States crashed. We've been searching for him for a long time, but we still can't find anything. Everyone on the plane was basically blown to pieces. So, the chances of Qin Chu surviving are very slim. How did this happen? Su Yu's eyes widened and his heart raced. It's the truth. We just saw Rick today and confirmed it with him. We don't want to believe it either, but it's true. So I want to ask you, if Huamin comes back, what should we tell her? Su Yu fell silent. Who would dare to tell Huamin such a cruel thing? How did this happen? Huamin just got pregnant and Qin Chu got into an accident? Su Yu was very sad. It was as if something was pressing down on his chest, making it hard for him to breathe. What? Huamin is pregnant? Wei Liao caught the main point. Oh my God. What should we do? Who would dare to tell her? I'm scared that she'll be upset. This matter can't be discussed for now. I'll go to the capital tomorrow to pick him up, and we'll discuss it after I bring him back. After hanging up the phone worriedly, Su-yu's expression changed. What's wrong, son? It's okay. Mom, I'm going to pack up. I might have to go to Jindo tomorrow. After that, Su-yu stood up and left. His mother vaguely felt that her son's back was a little heavy. Wei family villa, what did you just say? Jiang Xiaowei came over and tugged at Wei Liao's arm. Lord Su said, Huamin is pregnant. Wei Liao was also a little confused. Pregnant? Jiang Xiaowei was shocked. Yes, if Lord Su says she's pregnant, then there's no mistake. The military hospital definitely won't make a mistake. But why wasn't there any news from the prison? Could it be that she was pregnant back then and someone deliberately hid it? Jiang Xiaowei reacted quickly and immediately understood what was going on. That's very possible. After all, the situation in the prison is very complicated. It's not strange that Mayor Song's people are involved. Mion's pregnancy? That's great news. But Qin Chu. Before Jiang Xiaowei could finish, the couple fell silent again. The timing of Huamin's pregnancy was too sensitive. If she found out about Qin Chu, how was she going to face it? Jiang Xiaowei couldn't imagine what Huamin would be like without Qin Chu. The next morning, Lord Su received a call from the capital that Huamin was temporarily released. Su-yu took the 8 a.m. flight to the capital to pick him up. Huamian packed up her things, dressed neatly, and waited to leave. She was very excited. When the door opened and she saw Su-yu, she was a little surprised. Why are you here? To take you home. Su-yu looked at Huamin's face, and his heart was filled with happiness. In this world, there was a feeling called, I'm satisfied to see you safe and sound. For Su-yu, he didn't dare to expect too much. He didn't want to see Huamin walk out in one piece. He had nothing else to ask for. While Huamin was still in a daze, he strode over and picked up Huamin's luggage. What are you waiting for? Come with me. Su-yu turned around and smiled at Huamin. Only then did Huamian realize what was going on and jogged to catch up with him. Can you not be so reckless? You're going to be a mother soon. Can you slow down? Seeing Huamin jogging, Su-yu was scared out of his wits and quickly stopped to talk her out of it. You know. Huamin smiled shyly. Chapter 1620. Enchanting, congratulations. Su-yu looked at Huamin and slowly congratulated him. Thank you. Huamin's heart was filled with happiness when he thought about the 2 lives in his stomach. It was already 1 o'clock in the afternoon when he and Su-yu arrived at Sea City on the plane. After they got off the plane, Imperial Star's chauffeur drove Su-yu's beloved car, a black Lamborghini, to the airport. Then, he took Huamin straight to a high-end restaurant in the city center. Everyone was waiting at the door to greet them. Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Jiang Xiaowei, Jixin, Zhu Lingling, Gao Ran, Ni Yang, and Chen Jie. When Huamin got out of the car and saw everyone, his eyes became slightly moist. Although he had only been in prison for a few days, it felt like a century had passed. Well, look at our genius back. Tang Chuan teased. Everyone stood in a row and smiled at Huamin. What a big scene. Huamin got out of the car and smiled at everyone. Mian, come, step over the brazier to get rid of the bad luck. Zhu Lingling was quite superstitious. Yesterday, she went out of her way to buy this brazier. It was filled with charcoal, and it was burning bright red. Then Huamin carefully stepped over the brazier. Everyone applauded. Oishin immediately ran over and hugged her neck tightly. Sis, you scared me. I missed you so much. Jixin couldn't hold back his tears anymore. Ever since he found out that his sister was sentenced to death, he had completely collapsed. He didn't eat or drink for years and lost a lot of weight. I'm sorry. I made you worry. Huamin lovingly patted Jixin's head. Then she looked up and glanced at everyone's faces. She smiled and bowed to everyone apologetically. I'm sorry, I really made everyone worry. Hey, what are you talking about? Why are you being so polite to us? Zhu Lingling immediately walked up and grabbed Huamin's hand. Let's go and welcome you back. Then, everyone entered the private room on the top floor of the hotel, not far away. Huasiqian sat in a black Buick minivan and watched everything quietly. Boss, should we kidnap Miss Hua? No need. When Hua Xiqian received the news that Huamin was pregnant, he was slightly shocked. Because this wasn't part of his plan, another accident. Su Yu ruined his perfect plan, which made him very angry. Without a doubt, Huamin's and Min, S's and means me. I really don't want you to give birth to this child. What should I do? Hua Xiqian's at Huamian. She didn't want Huamin to give birth to any other man's child. However, he didn't have the heart to hurt Huamin. Boss, what should we do now? Let me think about it. Then, Hua Xiqian gestured for the car to start driving. The black Buick minivan slowly drove away without arousing anyone's suspicions. Inside the private room, everyone sat down. On Huamin's left was Jixin, and on his right was Zhu Lingling. Then there was Gao Ran, Ni Yang and Chen Jie. Next to Jixin were Jiang Shaowei, Wei Liao, Su Yu, and Tang Chuan. After the dishes were served, before anyone could say anything, Huamin looked at Zhu Lingling and said, Lingling, lend me your phone. But I'm calling Rick. He's been helping me and Qin Chu lately. We can't leave him out of this meal. After Huamin finished speaking, everyone's expressions changed slightly. Chapter 1621. The truth is, Jixin paused. He really didn't have the heart to tell his sister. Just then, Su Yu stood up and said, Huamin, I called Rick. He went out and hasn't come back yet. Is it? Yeah, so when he comes back, he'll come find you. Don't worry. Okay, let's eat then. Huamin sat down with a smile on his face. Sis, did you eat bad food in there? Jixin asked. Sis, is that cornmeal cornbread? And Yang chimed in as well. No way. Cornbread is very expensive these days. I've been eating cornbread for dinner every day, Tang Chuan chimed in. No, I ate pretty well. I had 4 dishes and 1 soup for every meal. After I got to Jing City, I ate even better. Professor Luo took great care of me. Speaking of which, I have to thank someone. Huamin held a glass of juice in front of him and looked at Su Yu. Thank you for helping me get out of danger again. I can't repay you for saving my life. So you're going to give yourself to Lord Su? Huh, Tang Chuan teased. Ahem. Huamin coughed a little awkwardly and continued, I can't repay Lord Su's kindness with ingratitude. After Huamin's witty reply, everyone laughed. Su Yu was also amused. If you say so, then I'm relieved. Su, thank you so much. Anything I say now is meaningless. Anyways, if you ever need me, Huamin, in the future, I'll do anything. Everyone here can be a witness. If one day I, Huamin, stand by and watch Lord Su coldly when he needs me, then I'll die a horrible death. You're crazy. Say something so inauspicious. Shut your mouth. My life has been very successful and I don't have to worry about food and clothing. I'll never ask you for help, so I'm scared that you won't have a chance to repay me. Su Yu hated Huamin's harsh words, so he stopped him from saying anything more. I'll give you a toast. Wait, you're pregnant right now, you can't drink juice. Waiter, bring in 2 bottles of water. Su Yu's words immediately ignited the crowd. Other than Jiang Shaowei and Wei Liao, everyone else was going crazy. Tang Chuan, fuck, Lord Su, what did you say? Zhu Lingling, pregnant? Gao Ran, Mion's pregnant? Is that so? Did I hear that right? Ni Yang, so Jixin and I are going to be uncles? Chen Jie, boss, congratulations. Jixin, mom, are you really pregnant? That's amazing. I'm just pregnant. What's with your expressions? Huamin couldn't help but glance at everyone's reactions and laugh. It's a good thing that we found out earlier. Otherwise, our expressions right now would be very interesting. Jiang Shaowei laughed. Did I leak something? Su Yu said on purpose. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Mion, are you really pregnant? Zhu Lingling grabbed Huamin's hand and shook it violently. Hey, be gentle, she's under heavy protection right now. Gao Ran immediately stopped Zhu Lingling's impulse. How long has it been, sis? Ni Yang was very calm as he looked at Huamin. Just over 50 days. At this moment, Su Yu interrupted again. So, did anyone know that she's pregnant with twins? Tang Chuan, twins? This is crazy. Chapter 1622. Zhu Lingling, twins. Jiang Xiaowei, my Mion's pregnant is amazing. Gao Ran, so, did I win the legendary grand prize? Everyone knew that the probability of twins was very low, so they all went crazy. Sis, you're amazing. Sis, do you have 2 babies? Is it a boy or a girl? Jixin couldn't contain his joy and kept asking. They're still young, I can't tell if they're a boy or a girl. Huamin looked at everyone's expressions and was amused. Then, she suddenly thought of something and glanced at Suyu. I don't remember telling you, how did you know they were twins? Professor Luo told me. Suyu looked proud. Okay, you win. Huamin subconsciously put her hand on her belly, full of happiness. Mr. Qin will be happy if he knows he loves kids. Now that there are 2 of them, the house is going to be lively. After Huamin said this, everyone fell silent, everyone's expressions became strange again. She was smart and noticed that something was wrong. She looked up at everyone and asked, "What's wrong with you guys? You're so expressive." "No, nothing, we're just too shocked, we're happy for you," Gao Ran replied guiltily. I didn't think they were twins either. I'm really scared, I don't have twins in my family. Qin Chu's family doesn't have twins either. I didn't know the twins were born in such a way. Huamin laughed. Come on, let's bet on whether they're a boy or a girl. Tang Chuan deliberately changed the topic to liven up the atmosphere. Zhu Lingling, I'm guessing they're boys, they're going to be so naughty. Gao Ran, I agree with my sharp-tongued Ling Jixin. I'm guessing a boy and a girl, that's good. I'm so lucky as an uncle. Jiang Xiaowei, I'm guessing a boy and a girl. That's the best way to have a son and a daughter. Wei Liao, I agree with my wife. And I Yang, I'm guessing it's 2 boys. It's nice for the older brother to take care of the younger brother. Qin Jie, then I'm guessing it's 2 girls. It's good that the elder sister is taking care of the younger sister. And I Yang, are you playing against me? Look at them, they all agree with my family's idea. Qin Jie, Tang Chuan, I'm guessing it's 2 boys. It's going to be big trouble in the future. In the end, Tang Chuan glanced at Suyu, who had been silent all this while. Suyu, what do you think? After a few seconds of silence, Suyu glanced at Huamin and said, 2 girls, right? Tang Chuan was a little puzzled. I think when girls grow up, they'll be more obedient and dote on their parents. Boys are too naughty. You're right. Tang Chuan laughed loudly. Then, everyone began to eat, and the atmosphere became lively again. Suyu glanced at Huamin from afar. There was something he wanted to say, but he didn't say it out loud. In fact, he wanted to say that he hoped Huamin would have 2 girls. The main reason was that girls would be as good as their mothers. If there were 2 more girls as cute as Huamin in the world, it would be a very happy thing. Jixin kept putting food on his sister's plate, afraid that she wouldn't eat well. He was the epitome of a considerate man. Jixin, did Mom call you recently? I just remembered now that you mentioned it. Hurry up and call her. She hasn't been able to reach you recently. She said she's worried. I can't take it anymore. She's always talking about going back to China. She'll probably stop thinking nonsense when she hears your voice. After speaking, Jixin picked up his phone and video called his mother. Huamin took his phone to the bathroom in the private room and talked to his mother alone for a while. During this time, Jiang Xiaowei immediately said, I think it's best if we don't tell Mion about Qin Chu for now. Chapter 1623. That's what I was thinking. She's pregnant and in the early stages. Her pregnancy isn't stable yet. We can't agitate her, Gao Ran said. But, how long do we have to keep it a secret? She's very smart. Zhu Lingling was worried. Let's keep it a secret for as long as we can. Anyways, it's better if she finds out later. Right now, she's still basking in the joy of being pregnant. I really don't want her to hear the news, Suyu suggested. But my sister is very sensitive. I think she'll find out soon. Jixin lowered his head, his heart heavy again. Rick will probably tell Huamin about it himself. Anyways, we don't know the details, so it's better not to tell her. Gao Ran looked at everyone. Finally, everyone nodded and decided to keep it a secret for now. No one dared to tell Huamin. If she found out that Qin Chu was dead, then her whole world would collapse. When Huamin came back from the phone call, he saw everyone eating quietly with their heads down. No one was talking and he immediately felt strange. Why aren't you guys talking? We were all waiting for you to come back. Zhu Lingling looked up and forced a smile. I just talked to my mom. She's relieved. You should stay at my place tonight. Jixin is also staying at my place for a few days. It's a critical time right now, and Sky Blessing Court might not be safe enough. I have a lot of bodyguards. Jiang Shaowei suggested. Before Huamin could speak, Suyu said, Huamin can't move around as she pleases right now. She still has to stay at the military hospital. Although she's out on medical parole, she can't move around like a normal person. You have to understand this. But don't worry, my grandpa is already trying to get her freedom back. Her freedom is still restricted? Zhu Lingling looked displeased. What do you think? Was Huamian a murderer? To be able to get the criminals who are going to be executed by shooting in such a short time? Commander Su is really amazing. He instantly killed a scumbag like my dad. Ever since Qin Chu and Huamin got into trouble, Gao Ran was extremely dissatisfied with his father. He felt that his father didn't do his best. In fact, although Gao Ran's father was in the provincial office, his position was not high enough to bail out a murderer. There was no way Mayor Song would let such a mistake happen. Sis? I'll have to trouble you for now. And Ai Yang looked at Huamin with heartache. I'm fine, this is already very good. I'm really satisfied. Huamin originally thought that Hua Xiqian wouldn't have the heart to kill her and would find a scapegoat. When the time came, the truth would be revealed. However, he did not expect that Hua Xiqian would not make a move. Could it be that he really wished for him to die? Me, who will visit you often. Stay in the military hospital and take care of the baby. Think about the baby and eat more, Jiang Shaowei comforted her. Of course, I won't let you guys worry. When I see Rick and find out that Mr. Qin is in the States, I'll stay here for a while. When I'm ready to leave, I'll go to the States and meet up with him. Maybe the baby will be born there. Haha, but you aunties and uncles have to give me gifts and red packets? I'll pay for the plane tickets. You guys have to come to the States to visit me and the baby. Huamin took the opportunity to daydream. However, everyone's hearts sank after hearing what she said. Chapter 1624. Before Huamin could figure out what was going on, Suyu immediately stood up and looked at his watch. It's almost time. I'll take Huamin to the military hospital first. Don't let the higher-ups suspect anything. She can't appear in public right now, so please don't tell anyone that Huamin is back. I'll arrange another time for her to meet you guys. Okay, that's all for today. Gao Ran stood up as well. Everyone said goodbye to Huamin and left the hotel. Suyu drove very slowly in the Lamborghini. Huamin could clearly feel that the car was moving at a snail's pace. Hey, at this speed, can we get to the military hospital before dark? I can't drive too fast. After all, you're pregnant. I'm just pregnant, not critically ill. Haha, don't be so careful, okay? Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Huamian, have you ever thought about why you didn't get pregnant for so long? Why are you suddenly pregnant now? Suyu suddenly asked a critical question. Huamin's eyes dimmed slightly. I've thought about it. Maybe I know what's going on. What do you think went wrong? Suyu tilted his head and glanced at Huamin. I used to eat at home and Southside Recuperation Center. Then after Qin Chu and I got divorced, I didn't eat at South Hill Manor or Southside Recuperation Center. I've always been cooking at Sky Blessing Court, so I suspect someone must have done something to the food at home and Southside Recuperation Center. Have you verified it? Huamin shook his head. Not yet. It's just my guess. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm only 2 at this time. I really don't want to think about it. Do you need to verify it? I can help you look into it. On the surface, Suyu was always baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. However, he was actually a very thoughtful person. Huamin had not been pregnant for such a long time. Now, She was pregnant during this sensitive period. Could it be that someone had done something? That was why he wanted to investigate for Huamin. Now that Qin Chu was not around, he had to take care of Huamin, didn't he? When he thought of Qin Chu's accident, Su Yu felt very uncomfortable. A few days ago, when he went to talk to Qin Chu alone, Qin Chu had said that if one day he was no longer around, he had to take care of Huamin for him. Were those his last words? Watch the road. Seeing that Su Yu was distracted, Huamin immediately reached out to help him adjust the steering wheel so that they could avoid the oncoming car. Only then did Su Yu come back to his senses. You were distracted. Huamin glanced at Su Yu. Yeah. What are you thinking about? Huamin asked curiously. I'm thinking that I should help you investigate if someone did something to your food. Su Yu quickly adapted. No, it's okay. I don't want to pursue it. Why? Don't you want to know who set you up? I don't even need to guess. If there really was someone who could do something to my house in South Side, it would be Hua Xiqian. I just don't want to investigate anymore. Whether or not this happened, Hua Xiqian is my enemy. I'll never forgive him. After Qin Chu and I get over this, I'll come up with a perfect plan. When the time comes, I'll make Hua Xiqian regret everything he did to me and Qin Chu. He can't keep bullying me just because we're kind. We have a bottom line. Su Yu could tell that Huamin hated Hua Xiqian to the core. It was a bone-deep hatred. Chapter 1625. You're pregnant right now. The most important thing is to protect yourself and the baby. The news of your return was kept a secret, but Hua Xiqian might know about it. So, it's better to be careful. Su Yu felt uneasy. He used to be on tenterhooks protecting Huamin. Now that Huamin was pregnant, he had to be even more on tenterhooks. There were 3 of them now. If he couldn't protect them, how could he face Qin Chu's trust? Su Yu thought about it sometimes and found it unbelievable that the person who trusted him was his love rival. Qin Chu was willing to leave Huamin in his care. What kind of trust was that? Maybe Qin Chu felt bitter about it. Su Yu felt like he hadn't done enough for Huamin. Maybe he would never be able to match up to Qin Chu. Just the 7 years of forbearance and 3 years of high school were already incomparable to him. He only hoped that he could see Huamin live a peaceful and happy life as long as he lived. That would be great. Su Yu drove Huamin to the Military General Hospital. He specially booked a VIP room and hired a nurse to take care of her. Before he left, he repeatedly reminded the nurse, "You have to be careful. She's pregnant with twins." "I'll do my best. Don't worry, young Master Su." The nurse was also very nervous. "Su Yu, I'm fine. Don't be so nervous." Huamin looked at Su Yu, amused. Seeing how nervous Su Yu was right now, people who didn't know would think that the twins were his. "You can't be careless right now. Call me if you need anything. Because of your sensitive status, you can't use any communication devices. I won't leave my phone with you. There's a landline here. You can remember the number, so just call me if you need anything. I'll come over every day." "You don't have to come every day. Go to your work. There's a lot of work waiting for you at Imperial Star." Huamin felt extremely guilty and didn't want to trouble Su Yu anymore. "That's not a problem. Just focus on taking care of the baby." Su Yu waved his hand and left the hospital. Huamin lay on the hospital bed and watched the prenatal education program on the television. He did not realize that something had happened to Qin Chu. After watching TV, she was a little sleepy. Just as she was about to rest, she suddenly thought of a problem. Then he would call Rick. The phone rang for a long time before Rick picked it up. "I'm Huamin." "Yes. By the way, after you sent Qin Chu to America, did you meet up with my in-laws? I'm a little worried about my father-in-law's condition. I don't know how he is. Can you help me contact them? I want to talk to them. I just need to talk to my mother-in-law. If it's convenient, it would be best if I could talk to Qin Chu." Huamin didn't want to trouble Rick. He knew that this was a special time. Therefore, he made his request very tactfully. Rick was silent on the other side of the phone. "Rick, are you listening?" Huamin thought that the signal was bad. "I'm listening." Rick's voice was very deep. "Can you help me contact them?" "Huamin, there's a problem over there. How about this, where are you?" I'll come over and find you. I'm at the Military General Hospital, but I don't think you can just come and see me. You can contact Suyu and ask him to arrange a meeting for us. Okay, I'll call Suyu. Rick? What's wrong over in America? Hwamin asked anxiously. I'll talk to you in detail when we meet. Rick didn't want to talk about this over the phone, so he decided to talk to Hwamin in person. In the evening, Suyu received a call from Rick and was about to leave the house. However, his mother stopped him. Son, is Hwamin back yet? Mrs. Su looked at her son and asked. Chapter 1626. She's back? Is she okay now? She's fine for now. Grandpa applied for medical parole, but I heard she's pregnant. Suyu nodded. I want to ask, is the child yours? Suyu almost spat out a mouthful of blood upon hearing Mrs. Su's words. Mom, are you kidding me? Answer, Mom, don't joke around. Mrs. Su, on the other hand, still looked serious. Mom, the child really isn't mine. Hwamion and I are very pure. Although I have feelings for her, she doesn't have feelings for me. Suyu said helplessly. Okay, if you're not, then I don't have to worry anymore. If you are, then what are you going to do? Suyu could tell that his mother was implying something else. If you are, then of course I'm going to hold a wedding for you. Do you think I'll let my grandson be born as an illegitimate child? Ahem. Mom, you're overthinking things. I have to go now, that's all. Hey, you still haven't told me where the child lives. I want to see her. The military hospital? Grandpa knows, Suyu said as he walked out the door without looking back. On the way to the military hospital with Rick, the atmosphere was very gloomy. Are you really going to tell me the truth? Suyu asked as he drove. And then, can Hwamin handle it? Suyu was a little worried. But it's the truth, Rick replied calmly. Hwamin is pregnant. I'm worried. She's pregnant? Rick looked at Suyu in shock. Why else do you think the military released her so quickly? Upon hearing that Hwamin was pregnant, Rick fell silent once again. The guilt and self-blame in his heart rose again. If it weren't for him, Chin-Chu wouldn't have gotten into trouble, and Chin-Chu would have known that Hwamin was pregnant. He was going to be a father soon. Looking at Rick's gloomy expression, Suyu asked helplessly, do you have to look like you're holding a grudge? Why don't you find an excuse to delay Hwamin for as long as you can? I have to tell her the truth. No wonder you're as stubborn as a donkey. Hwamin is so smart, she won't be kept in the dark for long. Instead of being timid, it's better to tell her sooner. Rick was determined to tell Hwamin. No matter how he tried to persuade him, it was useless. In the end, even though Suyu was extremely unwilling, he still brought Rick into the military hospital. Door of the V ward, go in and talk to her. I'll wait for you at the door. Suyu paced back and forth at the door. He did not dare to enter. He did not dare to see Hwamin's expression when he heard the news. He felt like he wouldn't be able to take it. Rick was wearing a black casual jacket. When he knocked on the door and walked in, Hwamin was listening to prenatal education music. Rick happily stood up when he saw Rick walk in. Rick, come and sit down. Rick nodded and sat down on the sofa across from Hwamin. Hwamin picked up the kettle on the coffee table and poured a cup of tea for Rick. Try the chrysanthemum tea I made myself. It's very healthy. I don't drink it, thank you. Hwamin put the tea aside. Before he could say anything, Rick said, Hwamin, I heard you're pregnant. Chapter 1627. They're twins. I still feel like I'm dreaming. It's so surreal. I wonder if Mr. Chin will faint from happiness when he finds out. Hwamin's voice and expression were filled with the shyness and joy of a young girl. Such a pure and innocent smile pierced Rick's heart deeply. Suyu stood outside the door and snuck a peek. Seeing Hwamin giggling like an idiot, Suyu's heart skipped a beat. Then he turned his head, took out a cigarette, and put it in his mouth. Young Master Su, this is a hospital, you can't smoke. The nurse walked over and kindly reminded him. Suyu obediently took out the cigarette and stuck it behind his ear, looking very handsome. The nurse walked over shyly. Young Master Su, Is the girl inside your friend?
Yeah.
She's a really nice person. She never orders us around and does everything herself. She also has a lot of professional knowledge. Of course, because she's a doctor. Su-yu smiled bitterly. I'll go in and take her blood pressure and heart rate. Then, the nurse was about to go in. Su-yu reached out and stopped her. She's talking to someone important. You can come back later. Okay. The nurse turned around and walked 2 steps. Then, she looked back at Su-yu and asked, Young Master Su, what's your WeChat number? Su-yu was slightly surprised at first, then he replied, I don't use WeChat. Okay. Obviously, Lord Su rejected her. In today's society, how many people didn't use WeChat? Those who said they didn't use WeChat were either lying on purpose or tactfully rejecting your friend request. Su-yu stood outside the door, feeling very nervous, as if he was waiting for the result. Rick was inside. When he saw Hwamin's bright smile, for a moment, he didn't have the heart to say anything. Congratulations, the baby must be very cute, Rick said faintly. Thank you. Oh right, why didn't Cece come with you? I miss her. Her school schedule has been a little tight recently. Oh, then I'll treat her to a meal when she's free. Hwamin smiled. Hwamin. Rick called her name softly. I'm sorry. Rick lowered his head and apologized softly. Why are you apologizing to me? Hwamin was still smiling, but he had a bad feeling about this. I'm really sorry. Chin-chu. At this point, Rick paused. What's wrong with Chin-chu? Hwamin was so nervous that he felt his heart clench. Judging from Rick's expression and tone, Hwamin knew that this was definitely not a good thing. After 5 seconds of silence, Rick took a deep breath and slowly said, That night, I forced Chin-chu onto the plane and personally escorted him to international waters. My brother's private plane was waiting for him on the other side. After I confirmed that it was my brother's men, I let him onto the plane. But, halfway through the flight, there was an explosion 248 nautical miles in the South Pacific Ocean. The plane crashed. Then, what about Chin-chu? Hwamin seemed to not be able to hear his own voice. Chin-chu, his whereabouts are unknown. But in that situation, the chances of him surviving are very small. We've been searching for him for 3 days, but we still haven't found anything. The only thing we can confirm is that everyone on the plane is dead, so Chin-chu. Hwamin fell onto the hospital bed with a thud. Instantly, coldness spread throughout his body. Chapter 1628. He felt as if the sky was falling down and the world was about to be destroyed. His brain had also lost the ability to think. Hwamin, I'm so sorry. I let you down. You trusted me so much, but all that was left in Rick's heart was guilt. After calming down for a while, Hwamin opened his mouth slightly. It's good news that his whereabouts are unknown. It means Mr. Chin is fine, right? Hwamin. Rick looked at Hwamin in surprise. Rick, you don't have to blame yourself. You'll always be Chin-chu's best friend. When we were in trouble, you weren't there to watch. The plane crash wasn't something you could have predicted, so please don't be sad. I believe that Chin-chu is still alive. Rick didn't know why, but after hearing Hwamin's words, he felt even sadder. Thank you for telling me this. I think Chin-chu has something important to do right now. When he's done, he'll come back to me. So, I won't worry or be sad. I'll wait for him to come back. Then Hwamin placed his hand on his stomach. He gently touched it. Babies, your daddy will be fine, right? At that moment, the cold-blooded Rick almost shed tears. Hwamin. But Rick had so many things to say, but at that moment, he didn't know what to say. Other than apologizing, regretting, and blaming himself, he didn't know what else to say. Rick, when you have time, remember to bring Cece to me. She's so cute and innocent. I like her so much. You have to treat her well and don't let her down. I can tell that she cares about you a lot. But when she's on vacation, I'll bring her here. Hwamin, you have to take good care of yourself. I will. I'm not alone anymore. I have the babies. I have to take good care of them and wait for Mr. Chin to come back. Rick walked out of the room with a sad heart. How is she? What's wrong with her? Su-yu asked nervously. Go in and take a look. Rick was in a bad mood as he left the hospital with a heavy heart. Su Yu paced back and forth at the door for a long time before he finally decided to knock on the door and go in. You're here? Huamin smiled. You? Su Yu was a little surprised. Huamin shouldn't have such an expression right now. Do you want to ask if Rick told me about Qin Chu? Su Yu nodded. He said, then you? Su Yu hesitated. I'm fine. I believe that Qin Chu is still alive. You guys are too pessimistic. I'm really fine. Alright, come here. I'll let you try the chrysanthemum I made today. I think it tastes pretty good. Then, Huamin poured a cup of tea for Su Yu. Su Yu looked at Huamin, not knowing what to do. This shouldn't be the current Huamin, right? Don't worry about me. I'm strong. I'm pregnant. I'm the mother of the babies. How can I cry so casually? Huamin, you have to be strong. Su Yu really didn't know how to comfort him. Of course. Huamin smiled slightly. However, for some reason, Su Yu felt that Huamin's smile was especially dazzling today. It hurt his eyes, because he vaguely saw the sadness behind Huamin's bright smile. How are you feeling today? Su Yu asked worriedly. Chapter 1629. Very good. Did you eat something tonight? I had a bowl of rice and a bowl of soup. The food here is really good. It's way better than at Southside. Then eat more. If you want to eat something, call me if they don't have it here. Okay, then rest early. I'm going back now. Su Yu stood up with a heavy heart. Don't worry, I'll eat and sleep well. Huamin was still comforting Su Yu, which made Su Yu feel even worse. It wasn't until Su Yu disappeared out the door, only then did Huamin stop smiling. She sat quietly on the bed and looked out the window, her eyes filled with a sadness that no one else could understand. After Su Yu left the military hospital, his heart began to ache. He knew that Huamin was just pretending to be strong and nonchalant. She couldn't be so open-minded. He received a call from Tang Chuan, so he drove straight to Wei Liao's house. Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Liao were there, as were Tang Chuan and Jixin. Did you just come back from the hospital? Jiang Xiaowei immediately asked when she saw Su Yu's worried expression. Big brother Su Yu, how's my sister? Su Yu wanted to say something, but he stopped. Did you tell her about that? Jiang Xiaowei guessed when she saw Su Yu's complicated expression. I didn't. Rick did. Rick is there? Everyone was shocked. Su Yu didn't say anything, he only nodded. Big brother Su Yu, is my sister okay? Jixin was extremely nervous. Huamin must be heartbroken, right? Tang Chuan guessed. On the contrary, she doesn't look sad at all, but that's what I'm worried about the most. Su Yu silently lowered his head. Jiang Xiaowei said with heartache, in psychology, if a person is depressed to the extreme, they will bury it all in their heart. It's not like those who express their feelings on the surface, such as sadness or crying. This kind of sadness is buried in the bottom of their heart and not let others see it. They bear it all by themselves. So she must be very sad right now, right? Wei Liao asked after he finished speaking. Everyone fell silent. What should we do? Is there any way to help my sister? Jixin looked at Jiang Xiaowei anxiously. No. She's just going through it herself. Your sister has a high IQ and EQ. She knows a lot of things without us telling her. So, in front of her, no matter how much we say to comfort her, it's meaningless. It doesn't have any healing effect. My sister must be so sad. I'm so useless. Jixin was a boy, but even he couldn't take it anymore. Tears fell from his eyes. Jixin, you have to believe in your sister. She's pregnant with 2 babies. Even if she doesn't think about others, she'll think about the babies. Xiaowei comforted Jixin. Sir, dinner is ready. The Wei family's housekeeper walked over and said respectfully to Wei Liao. Let's go eat first. We'll talk about Huamin later. You guys eat, I'm going to go now. Su Yu was still in low spirits. He got up and left the Wei family's house. Lord Su seems very sad, Tang Chuan quietly said. Of course, he likes Huamin so much, how can he not be sad? Wei Liao watched as Su Yu's car drove away. Unfortunately, there's only one Huamian, so she can only let down Lord Su's heart. Xiao Wei chimed in. If Qin Chu really dies, then I don't know if Lord Su will have a chance. After all, Huamin is still young, Tang Chuan said without thinking. However, Yixin was angered. He glared at Tang Chuan. My brother-in-law won't die. He'll come back. Then, Yixin turned around and went upstairs. Tang Chuan was slightly embarrassed. He forgot that Yixin was still here and said something wrong. In the military hospital, Huamin lay flat on the bed with his hand on his stomach. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions that others couldn't understand. They all said you died. She said softly. Chapter 1630. But I believe that you're still alive. You'll come back, right? Huamin's voice was very low and soft. She was like a lonely and helpless child. She didn't know when, but she slowly closed her eyes. It was as if she saw a mountain full of red leaves. The autumn on Yunding Mountain was unbelievably beautiful. It was like the stunning colors of an artist's brush. Huamin saw the man on the stairs. He was wearing a white shirt and a black suit, and he was smiling brightly. Honey, what are you waiting for? Give me your hand. I'll pull you away. She saw Qin Chu reach out his hand. He was so close to her. She reached out her hand to pull him, but she couldn't reach him. Give me your hand. He repeated again. Huamin was powerless. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't reach him. She felt like she was missing something, an invisible obstacle. Honey, come closer. I can't reach you. Qin Chu slowly walked down the stairs. He was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, blood began to seep out of the corner of his mouth. Then, more and more blood gushed out. Huamin screamed in fear. She wanted to rush up, but she couldn't touch him. She could only watch as he clutched his chest and fell to the ground, and he rolled down the stairs. Qin Chu, she screamed at the top of her lungs and woke up from her dream. The nurse heard her scream and rushed in. Miss Hua, are you okay? I'm fine. Huamin's voice trembled slightly. She lowered her head, and there were tears at the corner of her eyes. Did you have a nightmare? Then I'll get you a glass of warm water. It's okay, you can leave. The nurse comforted Huamin for a while. Seeing that she was fine, she left. Su Yu was home, and he couldn't calm down in the dorm. He couldn't sleep at night because he was worried about Huamin's condition. Xiao Wei said that it wasn't that Huamian wasn't sad, she was just hiding her sadness. She chose to bear it alone. The more Su Yu thought about it, the more his heart hurt. He reached out his hand and pressed his chest hard, as if to make it feel better. Just then, his phone rang. He glanced at it. It was a military landline, and he immediately picked it up. Young Master Su, do you want to come and take a look? What's wrong? Miss Hu doesn't seem to be in a good mood. I think she had a nightmare. She yelled and cried, I'll be there. After hearing the nurse's words, Su immediately got dressed. Then he drove to the military hospital. When he entered Huamian's Hua, Huamian Huamian's, Ts? Huamin, don't be afraid, I'm still here. Seeing that Huamin didn't respond, Su Yu carefully walked over and comforted her. Didn't you say that no news is good news? His whereabouts are unknown, so it means he's fine. Don't be sad, you're pregnant. You have to think about the baby. Professor Luo told me that a pregnant woman's emotions can seriously affect the baby's personality in the future. So, Huamin, you have to be strong. Su Yu's voice was very gentle. He never knew how to comfort girls. Perhaps this was the most gentle he had ever been. He knelt down beside Huamin. Then, he gently patted her back. It was as if he was comforting a child. Slowly, Huamin raised her head and looked at Su Yu with tears streaming down her face. I miss him so much. Can you take me to him? Su Yu was slightly stunned. He didn't know how to answer. Chapter 1631. Su Yu, can you take me to him? Huamin begged again. Okay. Su Yu helped Huamin up from the ground and onto the bed. It's too late now, go to sleep, I'll take you there tomorrow. Do you know where I'm going? Yes. Will you take me there? Yes. Upon hearing Su Yu's answer, Huamin smiled slightly. Then go to sleep first, okay? Okay. Su-yu helped Hwa-min lie down and covered her with a blanket. Are you hungry? He asked. Hwa-min shook her head. Do you want to drink some water? Hwa-min continued to shake her head. Then, do you want to eat some fruit? No. Then close your eyes and go to sleep. Don't think about anything, okay? What about you? Hwa-min looked at Su-yu and asked. I'm fine. I'll stay here and watch over you for a while. I'll leave after you fall asleep. Okay. Su-yu sat by the bed and quietly watched over Hwa-min. Half an hour later, Hwa-min fell asleep again. Su-yu turned his head and quietly looked at her. Under the light, Hwa-min's delicate face looked even more beautiful and peaceful. Su-yu's heart was moved. He couldn't help but raise his hand, wanting to touch her smooth and fair face. However, halfway through he slowly retracted his hand. He couldn't. Hwa-min, you have to be well. Su-yu's voice was very low. Just like that, he sat in the hospital room for 4 hours, until dawn. When the sky slightly brightened, Su-yu walked out of the room. Young Master Su, you didn't sleep last night? The nurse was shocked. How's her appetite now? I didn't eat anything last night. Then I'll go out and buy some rice to make porridge. Then, Su-yu turned around and left the hospital. The young nurse was slightly shocked. There was no medical staff in the local military region who didn't know Su-yu. Everyone knew that he was the grandson of Commander Su, the CEO of an entertainment company and a godly tycoon. The young master of the Su family, but wasn't such a man rumored to have a violent temper? How could he be so patient to take care of a woman? He even personally bought rice and came back to cook porridge? At this moment, the nurse was very envious of Hwa-min, who was lying in the hospital room. She didn't know what kind of charisma Hwa-min had to make someone like Su-yu bow down to him. 6 o'clock in the morning when Hwa-min woke up, Su-yu had already finished cooking the porridge. You're awake. Hurry up and eat. You didn't leave? Hwa-min was slightly surprised. I'm old, so I don't feel sleepy. I was waiting for the sun to come up, so I went out to the supermarket to buy some rice. I don't know what flavor you like, but I think my cooking is pretty good. When I was in the military, I often cooked porridge for myself during field survival training. Try it, it shouldn't be too bad. Su-yu scooped a bowl of porridge and handed it to Hwa-min. Hwa-min's voice was a little choked up. Yeah. You're so long-winded. Hwa-min looked at Su-yu with tears in her eyes. Then, without waiting for his reply, she took the porridge from his hand and ate it silently. Hwa-min wasn't heartless. She knew that Su-yu was good to her, but she couldn't repay him. So, it had become a heavy burden in her heart. Eat more. When you're done, I'll take you to a place. But Hwa-min looked up and was slightly surprised. Aren't you going to find Chin-chu? Chapter 1632. Upon hearing Su-yu's words, Hwa-min was slightly surprised as well. She said what she said last night when she was weak. She didn't think that Su-yu would actually take it seriously, but where was she going to find Chin-chu? Hwa-min thought about this, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she quietly lowered her head and ate the congee. How does it taste? Su-yu asked slightly nervously. Very good. Upon hearing Hwa-min's words, he let out a sigh of relief. Then Hwa-min asked, but I really want to know, how many types of rice did you put in this bowl of congee? About 7 or 8 types, maybe a dozen. I'm not sure. I forgot to check. Su-yu scratched his head awkwardly. When he went to the supermarket to buy rice, he was very hesitant. The salesperson introduced him to all kinds of rice, and he didn't lack money, so he thought that all of them were good. But rice, millet, sorghum, glutinous rice, sticky corn, brown rice. He brought back a little bit of each type. By the time he finished cooking it, he was already drunk. The color was simply too beautiful. Luckily, Hwa-min didn't mind, and could still drink it. Hwa-min took a small sip, and then calmly looked at Su-yu. Are you sure this isn't 8 treasure congee? No. Su-yu answered in all seriousness. Hwa-min smiled. Am I poisoned? I don't think so, it's all food. Okay, I give up. Hwa-min saw that Su-yu was also confused, so he didn't ask any more questions. After eating the congee, Hwa-min listened to Su-yu and quietly adjusted her clothes. Jixin went to South Hill Manor to get the clothes for her. Huamin chose an apricot yellow lace dress with lotus leaf sleeves and a retro style. The hemline of the dress was very long, and it was very conservative. It was very much in line with Huamin's conservative personality. You're wearing too little. Put on another jacket. The wind is strong on the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean? Huamin was speechless. It wasn't until she and Suyu took a private plane to the South China Sea and changed to a cruise ship, Huamin finally understood why Suyu wanted to take her to Qinchu. It turned out that they were really coming to the Pacific Ocean to look for Qinchu at the place where he crashed, because the Pacific Ocean was international waters, so you couldn't use any military forces. She was too embarrassed to ask her grandfather. Therefore, he spent a huge sum of money to hire cruise ships and salvage teams from international shipping companies to continue salvaging. Rick and the Lino brothers tried their best to salvage for 3 days and 3 nights. However, Huamin didn't give up and continued to believe that Qinchu was still alive. Therefore, Suyu followed her without any complaints. The deck is very big, put on a scarf. Suyu took out a thick scarf and put it on Huamin. Okay. She nodded. Then, she stood on the deck with Suyu. They watched as the cruise ship slowly sailed. When they finally arrived at the crash site, Suyu began to instruct the salvage team. Many of the crew members began to prepare tools and went into the sea. Huamin looked around. In this vast sea, there wasn't even a small island nearby. If an accident happened and they fell into the sea, it would be impossible for them to swim to shore. So, just as everyone said, the possibility of Qinchu being alive was very low. Suyu, who was standing next to Huamin, turned his head and glanced at Huamin's expression. He accidentally saw a flash of disappointment in her eyes. Suyu's heart sank again. Chapter 1633. Therefore, he immediately comforted Huasiqian. Actually, you're right. Qinchu might still be alive. After all, he's such a smart person. Maybe he knew that Huasiqian would do something like this, so he didn't even get on the plane. Rick said that he personally sent Qinchu here and got on the plane. Huamin's voice was very soft. Maybe after Rick left, he got off the plane again. Huamin was speechless. The salvage team spent the entire day searching from morning to night until the sun set. The captain of the salvage team walked onto the deck, dripping wet. Mr. Su, let's call it a day. It's already dark and the waves are very strong at night. There are also undercurrents. We can't salvage anything. Okay. Suyu nodded. Mr. Su, I have something to say. I hope you don't like it, the captain said. Suyu didn't say anything, however. Huamin turned his head and looked at the captain. The water in this area is deep and dangerous, and there are often undercurrents. Even an elephant would disappear without a trace if it fell in, let alone a small person. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. The sea is not like a river. It's so big and it's been a few days. The body might have been eaten by the ferocious fish. Where can we find it? I know you guys don't lack money, but it's meaningless to keep fishing like this. Huamian's expression changed as soon as she heard the captain's words. Suyu was exasperated. Why are you wasting your breath? I have money. Do whatever I tell you to do. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay, we'll do as you say, Mr. Su. The captain said helplessly. Huamin looked at the ocean under the setting sun with melancholy in his eyes. Suyu, yeah? Let's go. It's okay, Huamin. We have time and money. As long as you don't give up, we'll continue. Let's go. The captain is right. What we're doing is indeed meaningless. Then, do you also believe that Qinchu? I've always believed that Qinchu is still alive. One day, he will come back to find me. After saying that, Huamin's tears fell uncontrollably. Suyu walked over, took out a tissue, and was about to hand it to her. Huamin's vision went black, and he fell to the ground. Fortunately, Suyu reacted quickly and immediately reached out to hug Huamin. Huamin, wake up. Suyu was scared out of his wits. Fortunately, Suyu was quick-witted enough to know that Huamin was pregnant. He was afraid that she would feel uncomfortable, so he brought along a private doctor. On the private jet back, after the doctor finished examining Huamin, he walked over. How is she? Don't worry, President Su, Miss Hua is fine. She's just too nervous and under too much pressure. That's why she had an emotional breakdown. Also, she's in the early stages of pregnancy and hasn't eaten much. That's not a problem. She'll be fine as long as she gets enough rest. Suyu looked at Huamin's slightly pale face and felt very guilty. He thought that she would be happy to take Huamin out to sea, but now she seemed to have suffered another blow. When they returned to the military hospital in Sea City, Huamin woke up that night. His friends were also there. Yixin, Jiang Xiaowei, Gao Ran, and Zhu Lingling all rushed over to see Huamin. Huamin slowly opened her eyes. "You're all here?" Her voice was weak, as if she had no strength left in her. "Sis, you scared me to death." Jixin tightly held onto Huamin's hand. "I'm fine. I'm just a little tired." Huamin forced a smile. "Mia, don't scare us, we're really scared. We already lost Mr. Qin, we don't want to lose you too." Zhu Lingling said without thinking, and after she finished speaking, she burst into tears. Chapter 1634. Lingling, what are you talking about? Qin Chu is definitely fine. I believe that Huamin and Qin Chu are still alive. Gao Ran didn't have the heart to hear Lingling say that Qin Chu was gone. You're a mother now, you have to think about the baby. Jiang Xiaowei looked at Huamin with heartache. Slightly. I'm really fine. I'm sorry for making everyone worry about me. Don't say sorry at a time like this, everyone is worried. We just want you and the baby to be fine. Gao Ran looked at Huamin and comforted him. Suyu immediately walked up to him. Go back to sleep. You're too tired, you've been crazy with me. I'm not sleepy. No? You have to go back? Jixin, drive him, Huamin said firmly. Jixin glanced at Suyu behind him, but didn't say anything. Suyu was about to say something when Jiang Xiaowei stopped him. Lord Su, listen to whatever Mian says. Hey, then I'll go back. I'll drive myself. Jixin, drive him, Huamin requested again. Jixin had no choice but to follow Suyu out. You can go back. I'll drive myself. Listen to sis, she's worried about you. After Jixin spoke, he got into Suyu's Lamborghini and drove for him. On the way back, Jixin slowly said to Suyu, "Thank you for liking my sister." Suyu was slightly stunned. Then he heard Suyu say, "It's because you like her that she's safe now. I know you've done a lot for her, she's always felt guilty, it's nothing. Putting everything else aside, Huamin and I are good friends. What I did for her is nothing. But my sister already has someone she likes. All these years, I've watched her fall in love and get married. She's been on and off with my brother-in-law for 7 years. I feel sad for her and my heart aches for her. I'm a die-hard fan of brother-in-law. Others may not understand him, but I do. Brother-in-law is a very introverted person and isn't good at expressing himself. He's always been good to my sister through his actions. All these years, he's done so much for my sister. Now, this ending is really unfair. I'm also very sad about Qin Chu." Suyu looked away. He really meant what he said. Although he and Qin Chu were rivals in love, Huamin was the one who was most upset about Qin Chu's accident. He didn't want to see Huamin so haggard, so he was truly sad about Qin Chu's accident. What I actually wanted to say is, even if my brother-in-law is really gone, my sister might not choose you. So, don't be too good to her, it'll only make you sink deeper and burden her. Suyu didn't expect Jixin, a young boy, to say something like this. Therefore, he was very shocked. You might think I'm being selfish, but that's the truth. I'm a bystander and I'm advising you as Huamin's brother. What you've done for my sister, my family is willing to do anything to repay you, but don't add to her burden. She's stubborn. She'll only love my brother-in-law in this life, even if my brother-in-law really dies. From what I know of my sister, she'll raise the baby alone for the rest of her life. To be honest, Suyu's heart sank when he heard this. Chapter 1635. It wasn't because he couldn't have it, but because he thought about how Huamin was so young and would have to raise a child for the rest of his life. His heart ached for him. After a moment of silence, he said, You're thinking too much. I think the same as your sister. I believe that Chin Chu isn't dead yet. He'll come back. Before he died, we had a private conversation. Chin Chu also asked me to take care of Huamin. So, before he comes back, I won't let anything happen to Huamin. Also, don't worry. Su Yu, may not be an honest man, but I'm definitely not a villain who would take advantage of a situation. I'm good to Huamin, it's my own business, it has nothing to do with anyone else. Upon hearing Su Yu's words, Jixin didn't say anything else. They were both smart people, so some things didn't need to be said too clearly. They both understood what was going on. The Su family mansion, Su Yu returned home exhausted. Son, you're back. Lady Su immediately walked up to him. I couldn't get through to you, so I went to your company and you weren't there. Oh, I went out today and just came back. Then why do you look so tired? Nothing. I just went out to play. Then, Su Yu went upstairs to shower and change clothes. When he came down for dinner, he found that he and his mother were the only ones at home. Where's Grandpa? He went to Jing City for a meeting. My dad hasn't been back either. No, your dad seems to be still mad at you. Why would he be mad at me? I didn't do anything to him. Su Yu nonchalantly picked up a piece of vegetable and put it in his mouth. My little ancestor, you didn't do anything to him? Haven't you stirred up enough trouble this time? Not just your dad, even your grandpa is angry. You know how hard it is for your grandpa right now. After this incident, what will others think of him? Lady Su knew the whole story. Although she didn't stop her son, she didn't support what he did either. After all, too many people were involved. Because of one Huamin, the entire Su family was implicated. They can think whatever they want, we have a clear conscience. Mion isn't a murderer, why can't we save her? Su Yu said confidently. I thought you had matured and grown up, but looking at you now, you are still so childish. Mom, that's enough. You don't have to lecture me. I've been punished by Grandpa. Son, tell me the truth. You still can't forget Mion, right? Why would I forget? That's weird. Su Yu looked at his mother speechlessly. But she has a husband and she even has a child now. Silly son, how long are you going to be obsessed with her? I don't think I'm being stubborn. In fact, I'm enjoying it. I think it's good to be able to help her and protect her. Su Yu held his bowl of rice and quibbled with a tough tone. Then are you going to meddle in other people's lives for the rest of your life? You're not going to be yourself anymore. Be a knight forever? The great guardian? Don't you want to be a prince and marry your own princess? Mrs. Su's heart ached for her son. When she said this, the corners of her eyes were filled with tears. Her heart ached for her son. He was so outstanding, so outstanding. Yet he had to fall in love with a woman he couldn't have. After hearing this, Su Yu's expression changed slightly, and his hand that was picking up food paused. Chapter 1636. After 5 seconds of silence, Su Yu slowly said, Mom, I like being nice to her. So you're going to be like this for the rest of your life? His mother's words were sharp today. What's wrong with being like this for the rest of my life? Su Yu's voice was very low. He didn't dare to look up at his mother. His mother raised her hand and wiped away her tears. I'm not a traditional mother. I won't interfere with you too much. I'll focus on your happiness. That's why all these years, I've never blamed you for messing around outside, or spreading rumors, or even when you threatened Grandpa. I'm just afraid. I'm afraid that if you continue to be alone, what will happen when you grow old? Dad and I still have you, but what about you? If you continue to be like this, will you really want to be alone? How can I be at ease when I leave you one day? Su Yu completely understood after his mother finished speaking in a choked voice. It wasn't that his mother didn't want him to like Huamin, nor was she forcing him to get married and have children. She was just afraid that in 100 years, she, Dad, and Grandpa would all be gone. He wouldn't even have anyone by his side. He would be alone for the rest of his life. At this moment he finally understood his mother's good intentions. Mom, you're thinking too much. That's many years in the future. The children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Don't worry about me. After speaking, Suyu lowered his head and continued eating. The next morning, Suyu went to Imperial Star to take care of business. After the morning meeting, he drove to the military hospital. When he arrived, Hwamin was eating a light breakfast of fruits and snacks. She ate very slowly and didn't say a word. The nurse carefully took care of her by the side. "You're here?" Hwamin smiled when she saw Suyu walk in. Have you had breakfast?" "Yes, I've had it since 6 p.m. It's a light lunch for the morning. Are you done with the checkup?" "The doctor said that everything is normal. Both babies are healthy." "That's good." Suyu sat down on the sofa opposite the bed. "Are you bored here? Do you want me to take you to Xiaowei's house?" "Okay, but wait for me first. I'll finish eating." As he spoke, Hwamin lowered his head and ate the food on the CD in a few bites. She was a completely different person from her frail image yesterday. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm fine." Hwamin finished the last bite of his food and picked up his jacket. "Let's go, Suyu. Aren't we going to Xiaowei's house?" Hwamin continued to ask. "Let's go." Suyu drove Hwamin in a very low-key manner. They didn't go to the city center because Hwamin's identity was still very sensitive. Therefore, he did not dare to be so ostentatious. By the time they arrived at Jiang Xiaowei's home, it was already over 40 minutes later. Jixin went back to Sky Blessing Court, Wei Liao went to work, and Jiang Xiaowei was the only one left at home. When she saw Hwamin, she was very happy. Best friends talked about a lot of things. Suyu admired Jiang Xiaowei's rationality and high IQ, so he thought that she should be able to comfort Hwamin. Plus, they were both pregnant, so they should have more things to talk about. Suyu took out his phone and opened his email to deal with some company matters. Then he quietly waited for Hwamin to come out. At the same time, inside the mayor's office, Mayor Song's face was dark and he didn't say a word. "Mayor, what should we do now? If the military gets involved, this matter will be really difficult to handle." "Are you sure it was Commander Su's order?" "I'm sure. Everyone knows that Professor Luo works for Commander Su. If he dares to protect the little girl from the Hua family, then it must be Commander Su's idea. I heard that Commander Su's grandson really likes the girl from the Hua family, and there were rumors about them." After the secretary said this, Mayor Song's face became even more gloomy. "Call Commander Su's adjutant and ask him to meet me. I don't want to talk to him." Mayor Song gritted his teeth and said word by word. Chapter 1637. Suyu and Hwamin had lunch at Jiang Xiaowei's place before leaving. They were supposed to go straight back to the military hospital, but Hwamin suddenly suggested that they go to Seductive Fox. Suyu was confused, but he still took her there. On the top floor of Seductive Fox, Hwamin and Suyu went in together and saw Rick. "Rick, can you get in touch with my in-laws?" "To be honest, I've been trying to get in touch with them, but I don't know why, but I can't get in touch with them. I asked my brother to investigate, and they said that Chin Chu's uncle moved and doesn't live where he used to live anymore. I'm guessing that they're worried about their own safety, so they're hiding their whereabouts. I want to find them. My mother-in-law isn't in good health, and my father-in-law's condition is still critical. Don't worry, I'll ask my brother to keep looking for them. I'll let you know if there's any news." "They probably don't know about Chin Chu yet, right?" Hwamin lowered his head. "They already know. After Chin Chu's accident, Uncle Chin Chu called me once, but I haven't heard from him since. They must be very sad." Suyu comforted him. "Okay then, you must let me know if there's any news. I'm worried about them." Now that Chin Chu's whereabouts were unknown, Hwamin was worried about her in-laws. If they knew, they would be as sad as she was. "I'll definitely. Okay then, I'll go back to the hospital now." Hwamin was a little disappointed as he followed Suyu out. Cece was looking for Rick for lunch, and she was very excited to see Hwamin. "Sister, I finally get to see you." Before Hwamin could see clearly, Cece ran up to him and gave him a bear hug. Rick was speechless and held his forehead. His girlfriend was being naughty again. "Long time no see, Cece." Hwamin smiled faintly. "I heard that you're back, but you're in the military hospital. It's hard to go there, so Rick didn't take me. He said that he'll ask you out for lunch when he gets better. Yes, that's right. Rick is right. I heard that you're pregnant. That's great, I'm so happy for you. When will you and Rick have good news? Hwamin asked. Cece's face turned red. I don't want to marry him, he's a block. I don't want to propose to you, Cece, to Cece. Hey, you said it yourself? Don't propose to me in the future, or you'll be slapped in the face. Cece's twos was to see her. To there, they speak twos to do twos to. Seductive Fox was still closed, and it was still daytime. What was he doing here? At that moment, Su-yu and Hwamin were both nervous. Hua Xiqian's car slowly stopped in front of Seductive Fox. He was wearing a dark purple suit. There was a faint smile on his face. From the moment he got out of the car, his eyes were fixed on Hwamin. His gaze never left her. Don't be scared. I won't let him hurt you. Seeing that Hwamin was a little nervous, Su-yu pulled Hwamin behind him to shield him. Hello, little sister Mion. I haven't seen you in so long. I missed you. Hua Xiqian, what do you want? Su-yu looked at him impolitely. Didn't you see? Catching up with my sister? I'm not your sister. Hwamin said coldly. I heard you're pregnant? Twins? Congratulations. Hua Xiqian's gaze shifted to Hwamion's belly. Hwamin felt Hua Xiqian's strange gaze and became even more nervous. She subconsciously pulled her shirt up to cover her belly. Chapter 1638. I don't need your congratulations. Hwamin coldly rejected Hua Xiqian's congratulations. Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and smiled, then he slowly walked towards Hwamin. For some reason, Hwamin was terrified. She subconsciously took a step back, reached out her hand, and tugged on the corner of Su-yu's shirt. Don't go near her. Su-yu angrily reminded her. Young Master Su, what are you worried about? I haven't seen my little sister in a long time, and I miss her. I don't need your fake affection, get out of my way. Su-yu slightly furrowed his brows. His attitude towards Hua Xiqian was extremely rude, as if he was ready to attack at any moment. Hua Xiqian could also see Su-yu's anger, so he stopped 2 meters away from Hwamin. Then he smiled at Hwamin. Take care of your baby, more. After speaking, Hua Xiqian turned around, went back to his car, and drove away. When Su-yu turned around, he saw that Hwamin's expression was a little ugly. He reached out and removed Hwamin's hand from his shirt, and comforted her. Don't be scared, he's gone. Hwamin. Amichim? She looked up. I won't let anyone hurt you. Hwamin nodded heavily. She trusted Su-yu a lot, because Su-yu was someone who used all kinds of methods to drag her out of that dark prison. She didn't know how difficult the process was, but for Su-yu, it wasn't easy at all. Therefore, Hwamin cherished this rare friendship with Su-yu even more. But how was she going to repay this huge favor? On the way back, Hwamin was silent. She leaned against the passenger seat and turned her head to look out the window, looking like she had a lot on her mind. Su-yu casually picked up the thin blanket in the back seat and covered Hwamin with it. Don't catch a cold, he said. She still gave a simple They drove Hwamin all the way to the military hospital for a checkup. Then, the nurse brought Hwamin some afternoon tea. Su-yu watched her finish it 1 sip at a time before leaving. As he walked out of the hospital, Su-yu called, there's something that you need to handle. Okay, I'll be right back. Su-yu went back to Imperial Star and worked all afternoon. I think, tea today. And was surprised. When I drove Mion back to the military hospital, I wasn't sure, because there were a lot of cars on the road. It wasn't just one car following us. But I have a feeling that something's wrong, so it's better to be careful. Maybe someone with a lot of tricks is afraid that I'll find out, so they used some tricks. Do you remember the license plate number? I'll check it out, and asked. Su-yu nodded and carefully recalled what he saw in the rearview mirror. Then he said 2 license plate numbers that he clearly remembered and continued, these 2 weren't the only ones following me. There was also a silver-gray Honda with a license plate number that I didn't see clearly. It was a little far away. There was also a dark green Honda with a license plate number that I didn't see clearly. But their whereabouts are very suspicious. Check them all. It's best if you check the surveillance cameras. Which section of the road? Suyu tried his best to recall and then said slowly, when I got off the Furong Bridge at the intersection with Mingda Road. Look at the cars on my left and right. See if there's anything suspicious. Okay, I'll check it out right now. And turned around and walked out the door. Suyu was also packing up and about to get off work. Just then there was a knock on the door. Come in. Chapter 1639. Suyu looked up and saw Jian Tong in a dark green trench coat. Jian Tong had a great figure, she was tall and thin, and she was a little cold. She was very popular recently, so many rich people were chasing after her, including many tycoons and second-generation heirs. Since Suyu and her hadn't developed a relationship, those who were on the sidelines began to make their moves. This made Jian Tong very anxious recently, so she applied to go to Australia to film a movie. Suyu hadn't seen her in a long time. President Su. Jian Tong was the first to speak. You're back? Jian Tong nodded. I've already finished filming. Oh, how did it go? It went well, that's good. Suyu nodded and didn't say anything else. He lowered his head and began to organize the documents on his desk. Then he picked up the phone charger on the desk and walked out. President Su, what's up? Tonight's the wrap party, the director and the others are all there, so everyone wants to celebrate. Oh, then you guys go. Remember to ask for receipts for all the expenses. You can just reimburse the finance department later. President Su, I wanted to ask if you could come with us. We haven't hung out with you in a long time, and we all miss you. Jian Tong directly explained why she was here. Suyu looked down at his watch. I can't today, I have something to do. Next time, you guys have fun. Okay. Jian Tong's eyes flashed with slight disappointment. After work, Suyu went straight to a nutrition store in a high-end mall. When he saw the dazzling array of nutrition products, he was dumbfounded. Sir, is there anything you need? I can introduce you to them. The salesperson was very enthusiastic. Do you have nutrition products for pregnant women? Of course, follow me, I'll introduce you. Okay. Suyu was a little embarrassed. He followed the salesperson to another row of shelves. How far along is your wife? The salesperson asked with a smile. Suyu blushed slightly. She's not my wife. She's my friend. Oh, I'm sorry, how long has your friend been pregnant? About 2 months ago. Suyu tried hard to recall. Oh, then she should take folic acid tablets for another month. In the early stages of pregnancy, she needs to take folic acid tablets for 3 months, but she's already 2 months pregnant, so she'll be fine after taking folic acid tablets for another month. Okay, give me one of these, Suyu said quietly. There's also the calcium tablets imported from the United States that need to be supplemented. Because the older a pregnant woman is, the less calcium her body has. When the time comes, she won't be able to supply the baby and herself. All right, I'll have one too. And this, DHA deep sea fish oil. You have to eat it all the time too. It can develop your baby's brain. And this milk powder for pregnant women, it's very nutritious. Bye. The shop assistant was all smiles as she helped Suyu pack all kinds of bags. It was like meeting the god of fortune. Ever since Suyu entered the store, the word he said the most was bye. He was indeed a tycoon. In less than 10 minutes, Suyu had bought more than 100,000 yuan worth of supplements. In the end, the car couldn't fit all of them, so the store owner sent a car to follow Suyu to the hospital. At 7 p.m., Suyu drove to the hospital. Huamin was listening to music. He was in a relatively calm mood. The 60-square-meter ward was luxuriously decorated. It was comparable to a 5-star hotel room and had everything. It was said that the bed was very expensive. It was multifunctional and could be assembled freely. Huamin leaned on the bed and listened to soothing music. When he saw the things Suyu brought, he was stunned. Oh my God, what are these? Huamin looked at the mountain of supplements and was speechless. Chapter 1640. I bought you some supplements. Huamin almost spat out blood. There were so many supplements, she probably wouldn't be able to finish them all. Was Suyu crazy? There's too much. I really can't finish them all. It's okay, there's a lot of flavors. I didn't know which one you liked, so I bought all of them. You can eat whatever you want. It's such a waste. It's not a waste, eat them. Huamin, have you been busy with the company lately? Huamin changed the topic. It's okay. I'm not very busy. Hua Xiqian also started an entertainment company. Now that GK is under his control, we're no match for him. Did he do anything to you? That's good. Huamin nodded, relieved. Even if he did, I'm not afraid of him. It's fine. You're not afraid of him, it's just that he's too despicable. You'll be at a disadvantage. I'm not afraid, the world is fair. Everyone has one life, so I'll fight him. At worst, I'll give up my life. Suyu had a fiery personality, like a ball of fire. It was as if he could set people on fire at any moment, so he was always full of arrogance and made people look arrogant. Qin Chu, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. He was quiet and cold. His personality was too calm, as if he could freeze people at any moment. Therefore, he was always cold and depressed. But that was how people were. There were no two identical leaves in the world, so there would never be two identical people. Whether it was Qin Chu or Suyu, they both had their own unique personalities. However, Huamin knew that they were both kind. Therefore, compared to them, Hua Xiqian didn't lose in fame, power, looks, or aura. He lost with a heart without love. Huamin laughed. Don't say that. You perished together with him. That's because he's a bad guy, and you're a good guy. I'm not a good person. Don't give me the good guy card. Suyu also laughed. That's right. There's something that I've always found strange. You can pay attention to it when you're free. All right, go ahead. Huamin said in all seriousness, once, I worked late at GK, and the elevator suddenly broke down and the lights went off. I took the stairs, and someone chased after me. I was so scared that I broke out in a cold sweat. Although there was no light, with the moonlight, I could clearly see that the person was Hua Xiqian. However, when I asked him later, he didn't admit it. From his expression, it didn't seem like he was hiding anything. He didn't seem to know what happened that night. It's normal that he didn't admit it. Who would admit to doing something so despicable? Suyu didn't think much of it. No, I'm a good judge of character. Hua Xiqian has no reason to deny it. When I lived at Sky Blessing Court, he visited my house. When I asked him later, he admitted to it, so there's no reason for him to lie about that. Could it be that there's really someone who looks exactly like him? Twins? Suyu froze. No, I think that person is him. Later on, he kept a woman named Wang Shasha. That woman also came to me. She said that Hua Xiqian kept her for so long, but he never touched her. However, one time, he suddenly came to her house and slept with her without saying a word. Later on, that woman got pregnant, but Hua Xiqian said that the child wasn't hers and that he never touched her. He probably didn't want to admit it. All scumbags are like that, Suyu interrupted. Huamin shook his head. No, Mo Shui also got pregnant. Hua Xiqian admitted to it and asked her to get an abortion. I don't think Hua Xiqian would lie, and there's no reason for him to. The point is Wang Shasha told me the same thing. The person I saw that night was definitely Hua Xiqian, but the expression on his face was very unfamiliar. I've never seen him before, and he looked like a completely different person. Could it be that he has intermittent amnesia? Suyu guessed. No, I suspect that he might have severe dissociative identity disorder, Huamin slowly said. Dissociative identity disorder? Suyu was a little confused. Chapter 1641. Huamin nodded. That's my guess, but I'm not sure yet. I've never heard of it before. It's a type of mental illness, right? It's a very serious psychological disorder. It means that there are two souls living in the same body. Other than the original personality, another person will be born. They don't know about each other's existence, so when they become another person, they'll forget everything they've done. Holy shit. That's weird. This was the first time Suyu heard about the existence of such a person, so he was also surprised. That's true. I've only heard about it on TV or in novels. So it really does exist. Of course, Xiao Wei should know better. I plan to discuss this with her another day. If he really has dual personality disorder, does he still have to take responsibility for the people he's killed? Suyu's question made Huamin slightly silent. I've thought about this as well. The reality is cruel. He can't take responsibility because it's a type of mental illness. Once he's confirmed to have this illness, he won't be sentenced to death. That's too fair. Wouldn't that be letting that bastard off easy? Suyu was extremely angry, but don't worry, this is just my initial guess. We can't be sure if it's true. After all, Huasiqian is a cunning villain. Huamin, are you afraid of him? Suyu asked worriedly when he saw Huamin's nervous expression when she saw Huasiqian. To be honest, I'm not afraid of him, but I'm especially afraid that he'll hurt my babies. If it's proven that he tampered with my food at Southside and South Hill Manor, then it means that he doesn't want me to have children. Now that I'm pregnant with twins, I'm afraid he'll have other thoughts. No matter what, I have to protect the babies. Right now, Qinchu's whereabouts are unknown. If something happens to the babies, then I don't want to live anymore. Huamin was very rational and didn't say these words in an agitated manner. She said it in a very calm tone, which added to the authenticity of her words. That was what Huamin thought. Therefore, Suyu began to feel a vague sense of fear in his heart. She had to protect Huamin and the child. Otherwise, if anything happened to the child, Huamin would not be able to live on. Don't worry. With me here, he won't do anything to you. I won't give him the chance. Suyu made a promise. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. Next day at noon when Lord Su returned from Jingdu, the first thing he was told was that Mayor Song had invited him for tea. He immediately knew what was going on. Thus, he nodded and gladly went forward. In a hidden tea garden on the outskirts of Sea City, a particularly elegant room was emptied out. It was filled with mahogany furniture. The high-quality tea set and tea leaves had already been brewed, emitting a strong tea aroma. Is it Thai guanine? It smells so good, Master Lord Su said as he walked in. He was followed by bodyguards. Mayor Song immediately stood up. Commander Su, sit down, don't be so polite. This isn't a military base, yes. Mayor Song slowly sat down and poured a cup of tea for Commander Su. Commander Su, try it. I heard that you like Thai guanine very much. Mayor Song smiled fawningly. Chapter 1642. I really like this taste. Back in the days when conditions were tough, we didn't even have food to eat, but we had a lot of tea leaves. When I was training new recruits in the mountains of Fujian, sometimes I was so hungry that I would just eat tea leaves. I've always remembered this taste. It was tough back then, but now the world is peaceful. Thank you, Commander. What's there to work for? I work for the country, and the leaders work even harder. Commander Su and Mayor Song spoke in a bureaucratic tone, neither in a hurry to get to the main topic. After chatting for a while, Mayor Song slightly opened his mouth and said, Uncle Su, to be honest, I didn't ask you to come here today to drink tea. I really have something to talk about. Hearing this, Lord Su immediately turned to the guard and said, You can leave now. But the guard seemed to be worried. It's okay, you can leave. Sir. After the guard left, only Lord Su and Mayor Song were left in the large room. Mayor Song was in his early 50s. He was 1 or 2 years older than Suyu's father. Lord Su was in his 70s, so it wasn't too much to call him uncle. Qin Kingdom, we've known each other for a long time. You're in the government, and I'm in the military. Although we haven't interacted much, I've seen how well you've built this city over the years, and I'm very happy. Uncle Su, don't say that. I'm just doing what I should do. I'm happy to see our hometown growing stronger day by day. I remember I came to you once, wanting to be in-laws with you. But my daughter didn't have the fortune, so it didn't happen. You must have heard about what happened a while ago. My daughter passed away at such a young age, and I've been feeling very heavy lately. I can't calm down for a while. I'm in my 50s and I only have one daughter. Now that she's gone, our Song family is going to have no descendants. I'm very sad, it's like she never left. Speaking of this, Mayor Song's eyes began to fill with tears. He loved his daughter very much. Even though she had been dead for so long, he still couldn't let it go. Perhaps the real reason was that the murderer who killed Song Yishur had yet to pay with his life. Mayor Song already regarded Huamin as the murderer of his daughter, so he hated him to the core. Now that she was rescued by Commander Su, how could she feel good? I've heard about it too. My condolences. Life is unpredictable. We can't fight against fate. Master Lord Su consoled him. Actually, if my Shirshir died in a car accident or from an illness, that would be fine. She and I aren't fated to be father and daughter, so I can't force her. It's just that she died a terrible death. The media didn't leak any details, but I believe you already know that she was killed and then dismembered. I've heard a little. Commander Su nodded. Her murderer has turned himself in at the local prison. It's just that. I heard that she was taken away by the military a few days ago. She was supposed to be executed, but they took her away at a time like this. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And I heard that those people were your subordinates, so I thought. Mayor Song didn't continue. He believed that Commander Su already understood what he was trying to say. Since Lord Su was here, he was already mentally prepared. When he heard Mayor Song's words, he first let out a long sigh, then slowly stood up with his hands behind his back. Chapter 1643. Master Lord Su continued, I should have told you about this earlier, but I was in a hurry and had to attend a meeting in Jingdu, so I didn't have the time to tell you. The thing is, the girl who was suspected of being the murderer is my grandson's good friend. She asked my military doctor to do something for her. Professor Luo liked her a lot, so he took her as his apprentice and gave her a military rank. I didn't know about any of this. After all, I rarely ask about the military doctor. But after this incident, soldiers with military ranks will be taken away by the military district for investigation and court-martial. The people in Jingdu were going to interrogate her, but they found out that she was 2 months pregnant, so she applied for medical parole. That's it. As far as I know, her actions are still restricted. She has no freedom and is not out of the law, but there's one thing that's very strange. Logically speaking, a 2-month pregnant woman shouldn't be locked up, right? The local prison should also have a physical examination. How come they didn't find anything? After Commander Su finished speaking, he looked at Mayor Song with a meaningful look. His expression changed, and then he replied awkwardly, maybe they were careless and didn't find out? That's too careless. After all, this is a matter of life and death. If our people didn't take her away, she would have been executed by shooting. 2 lives would have been lost. Uncle Su, to put it bluntly, I just want to seek justice for my daughter. Since ancient times, people pay with their lives. I don't think it's possible to escape responsibility just because she's pregnant. If all the women killed people while pregnant, wouldn't it be a mess? The country wouldn't have any laws. So, I think you shouldn't get involved in this matter, okay? Because you're making it very difficult for me. Please understand the pain of losing a daughter as a father. After speaking, Mayor Song took out a handkerchief and wiped his tears. This was a very good way to play the sympathy card. Seeing Mayor Song cry like this, the old man's heart inevitably softened. Qing Kingdom, to tell you the truth, I am not being meddlesome in this matter. I really have no other choice. I also have my own difficulties. How do I put it? A life for a life. This girl is now locked up in the military and won't go far. After she gives birth, we will strictly investigate. After all, this case seems to be very suspicious. We will investigate it thoroughly and give your daughter an explanation. If she really killed someone, then she must be tried and punished. Master Lord Su's words were full of righteousness. Mayor Song was left speechless. In the end, he could only nod. Thank you, Uncle Su, not at all. This is what I should do. The military also has its own position. Let's all understand each other. Yes. Mayor Song didn't dare to say anything more. After all, Lord Su had already made it very clear. Late at night Huamin tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. She got up, walked to the window, and secretly took out a cigarette. Every time she was in a bad mood, she really wanted to smoke. Just as he was about to put the cigarette into his mouth, she suddenly remembered that she was pregnant. So, she held the cigarette in her hand and looked out the window with a melancholic expression. Since Qin Chu came back to the country, they got married in a flash, and now she was pregnant. Qin Chu's whereabouts were unknown, and she didn't even know if he was dead or alive. Everything felt like a dream. Qin Chu, you're not really going to abandon me, right? Huamin's voice trembled slightly. Just then, she heard a squeaking sound coming from outside. Who is it? Huamin turned around and asked in a panic. Chapter 1644. When Huamin turned around, he vaguely saw a black figure floating by the door. He only noticed it because there was a small window on the door. Huamin immediately ran over and opened the door. He ran out and vaguely saw a man's figure. Huamin mustered up his courage and chased after him, but there was no trace of that person in the hallway. That's weird. Where did he go? Miss Hua, what's wrong? Hearing the commotion, the nurse responsible for taking care of Huamin immediately ran over to check on him. Nothing. I think I saw a figure. A figure? A man or a woman? The nurse was shocked. A man? Tall, wearing black clothes. What about his appearance? Did you see him clearly? No. I just vaguely saw a figure sneaking around my door. Now that she thought about it, she was a little scared. If Huamin hadn't heard the sound and turned around in time, that person would have silently broken into Huamin's room. It was too scary at night. Oh my God, that's too scary. I'll go tell them to strengthen the security outside. Young Master Su said, nothing can go wrong. We must protect you well. Don't tell Suyu. I don't want him to worry, Huamin instructed. Okay. The nurse didn't know the relationship between Huamin and Suyu, so she didn't dare to ask. However, when Huamin returned to his room, the nurse still secretly called Suyu. Perhaps she wanted to leave a good impression on this super rich guy. The nurse vividly described what happened in the middle of the night and even described Huamin's pale face due to fear. Suyu was about to go to bed, but after hearing what the nurse said, he didn't even put on his pajamas. He immediately got up, put on his clothes, and got out of bed. Then, he gave in a call. President Su, how's the thing I asked you to investigate? It's really suspicious. There's something wrong with those cars. Whose men? We're not sure if it's Wasiqian or Mayor Song, but we're sure that you're being followed. Their target is probably Miss Hua. Suyu didn't say anything. Boss, I don't think Miss Hua is safe. You should protect her carefully, and added. I got it. Suyu was a little annoyed. He hung up the phone and couldn't sleep anymore. She wanted to call Huamin because there was a landline in her room. However, he looked at his watch again. It was too late, and he was afraid that he would disturb her. He got up and smoked a cigarette, then went downstairs to make a cup of coffee. However, she accidentally overheard the conversation between her mother and grandfather. Dad, did you see Mayor Song today because Suyu protected that girl? Lady Su asked. Master Lord Su nodded. What does he mean? Are you dissatisfied with our Su family's interference in this matter? Of course he's dissatisfied. After all, he lost his daughter. He also told me about the situation in a roundabout way. What situation? Are we going to hand over the child? No. He didn't directly ask us to hand her over, and he didn't dare to do so. If he did, we wouldn't have done that. He cares a lot about that girl. He would rather use that method to threaten me. So, Sai, since we're already involved in this matter, we have to see it to the end. Dad, will Mayor Song be happy? Will he cause trouble for us? Chapter 1645. He doesn't have the guts to cause trouble for us, but with his personality, I'm afraid he'll do something to that girl. Huamin is in the military hospital right now. The military hospital isn't a very strict place, so there's still a chance for him to do something. Anyway, tell you to be careful. I'm going out tomorrow, so I'm going to rest now. Okay, go to bed early, Dad. After hearing what his grandfather and mother said, Su felt very uncomfortable. After Lord Su went back to his room, Lady Su turned around and was about to go upstairs when she saw her son standing in the corner of the second floor. You're not asleep yet? Yeah, then, you heard what I said to your grandfather just now. I heard. Su nodded. Your grandfather is actually in a difficult position. Mayor Song is still in office, so this matter is very complicated. I don't care who it is, but if they touch Huamin, they're going against me. I don't care if it's a mayor or a governor. Son, you can't be so impulsive. I won't. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. After speaking, Su walked out of the house in the middle of the night. It's so late. Where are you going? I still have some things to do. You should go to bed first. Su walked out of the house and immediately called Tang Chuan. What's up? Lord Su, what time is it? Didn't you say you know the boss of a bodyguard company? Yeah, tell them to send 8 elites over. Huh? Are some superstars coming to your company? Tang Chuan sat up in a daze. No, then who's going to use them? I told you to do it, so do it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? 8 elites, that's a lot of money. I don't lack money. Su was extremely generous. I know you don't lack money, but you can't spend it like this. After all, money doesn't grow on trees. Some of those elite bodyguards are foreigners. They are retired special forces soldiers. They are very skilled. Of course, they are very expensive. I'll take it no matter how expensive it is. After all, it has to be foolproof. But I'll call his boss tomorrow morning. No, let's fight now, Su insisted. Holy shit, crazy. It's 12:30, Lord Su. My dear grandpa, can you let me have a good sleep? No. Hurry up and fight. You win. Under Su's coercion, Tang Chuan immediately called the bodyguard company. He said that it would be ready the next day. However, Su was still worried. In the end, he drove to the military hospital himself. Then, he paced back and forth in the corridor outside Huamin's room. It wasn't until 6 in the morning that he quietly opened the door and went to the kitchen to make Huamin congee. Why you here? Huamin woke up drowsily and saw Su busy in the kitchen. I can't sleep well these days, so I came over to make you something to eat. Actually, you don't have to be so polite. I'm fine here. The military hospital has everything. I feel really bad seeing you like this. After Huamin woke up, her face without makeup looked even more delicate. However, her mental state was a bit low due to her pregnancy. Before she had time to wash her face, she walked over with her fluffy hair. When she saw that Su had already made congee, her heart was filled with gratitude. We're friends. If Tang Chuan and Wei Liao need me to take care of them, I'll do it. So, don't feel burdened, thank you. Huamin said softly. After Huamin finished her congee, she went for a checkup in the morning. When she came back, she saw 4 tall and burly bodyguards at the door. She was very confused. They're here to protect you, Su quickly explained. Chapter 1646. You don't have to make such a big fuss. I'm really fine, Huamin quickly refused. Don't refuse, Su's words shut Huamin up. These 4 are here to protect you during the day. 4 more will come at night and take turns to be on duty. Huamin was speechless. Don't be afraid when you sleep. Huamin was speechless. Although he didn't know what to say, his heart was filled with gratitude. You can stay here for the time being because it's easier for you to get checked. When everything is settled and you don't need any more checkups, I'll think of a way to get you out. No matter how good this place is, it's not home. It's just a hospital. I know how lonely you feel. It's okay, this is already good enough. Huamin really didn't dare to ask for more. Just listen to me. I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing this for the 2 little guys. Su subconsciously looked at Huamin's flat stomach. Huamin lowered his head, covered his stomach with his hand, and smiled happily. Babies, when you're out, you must thank Uncle Su for taking care of you on behalf of Daddy. When Daddy comes back, I'll thank Uncle Su properly, right? Su Yu smiled awkwardly. After leaving the military base, Su Yu went straight to work. At noon, he attended an old senior's 60th birthday party. Su Yu drove a black Lamborghini with only his assistant. He was very low-key. "Hey, young Master Su. Long time no see. Young Master Su, where's your girlfriend? Why isn't Jian Tong here? Nephew Su, how's your father doing? How's the old commander? It's been a long time since he drank with us. What are you busy with?" Ever since Su Yu met Huamin, his entire life had changed. He wasn't as high-profile as before, wandering in high society and living a bohemian life. Therefore, it was actually quite difficult to see him at a business event like this. Therefore, everyone couldn't help but come up and ask him about this and that. Su Yu was a little annoyed. Just as he was about to lose his patience, someone's arrival ignited the anger in his heart again. Huasiqian? He was actually here, right next to Mayor Song. He was very high-profile. There were reporters and media interviews, so they stood there. "President Hua, are you still close to Mayor Song?" "Of course. He's Shishi's father, so he's my father. Even if Shishi's gone, I won't distance myself from him because of this. I'll always be filial to him." "President Hua, you're such a good person. You're a filial son. President Hua always praised you when he was alive. How could that be? I feel that this is something that young people like us should do. It's really within our duties." "Mayor, what do you think of this son-in-law? Shishi is gone, but he still respects me and my wife like we're his elders. I'm very touched. Then in the future, when the city government has good projects, will they give special treatment to President Hua?" "Of course not. I treat everyone equally. Everyone competes fairly." Mayor Song naturally wouldn't be tricked by a small reporter, so his answer was very official. Looking at Huasiqian's hypocritical face, Su Yu really wanted to rush up and beat him up. President Su calmed down, seeing the anger on his boss's face, and immediately comforted him. "Don't worry, I won't beat him up, because beating him up isn't enough to calm the anger in my heart. I'll wait and see what happens to him." Su Yu knew very well that he and Huasiqian would have a fierce battle. He wouldn't use small fights to show off, therefore he had to prepare for a big fight. He had to be aggressive. He had to avenge Huamin and Qin Chu. "Hi, President Su, long time no see." Huasiqian actually walked up to Su Yu and greeted him with a smile. "You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.